Look, don't get me wrong. Don't feel insulted, but I do not want to be locked in a room full of naked men.
Why not?
Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome to the Real Gamerscore podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron.
Hey.
And Tarragon.
Hello.
This week we talk about barely live services, our top 700 games of the generation, and roasting our entire community. But first, here's the song of the week.
Know me broken by my backlog, 100% seems so far off. Starting the grind again, same old toss I did before. So I made a big mistake, scarred my tag with all these games.
This is the bit where I put the song and everyone gets to listen to it and yell, and Mad yells at us because he knows the answer.
You're leaving that bit in, yeah?
Yeah,
And,
I'll leave that in.
I'll just apologise in advance because I don't really think I did that one justice.
Oh no, it's a hard one, and I.
Well, it's a hard one to sing.
No, 100%.
Ridiculously hard one to sing.
It's a hard one to know. I've got no idea.
Yeah, I'm so close to it's going to annoy the hell out of me.
It's okay. We'll just wait till Nick guesses it.
Yeah, okay. You know, we'll throw it out to the community since Tarragon is on the episode this week and he did sing it, so it would be kind of unfair to ask.
Actually,
him.
that's it. That's perfect. Tarragon, what's the answer?
No, that's not what we do on this show. No, absolutely not.
That's not what you do on this show.
No. If we don't know it, I just pretend like we're thrown out of the community. I refuse to.
I'm sorry. All three of us here know
I have to give it
we'll
away.
leave it
It's
up
Rick
to the
Astley.
community.
Never going to give you up.
Oh,
It should be
I
obvious.
I can't believe I missed that. I can't believe I missed that.
Signature song.
Have we done Never Give You Up?
That's a good question, actually. I feel like we must have, but maybe we didn't.
Not while I've been on. But
No, yeah, I don't think so.
We haven't trolled the community.
I mean, look, we've trolled the community on many occasions. That's
Just not with Rick
Yeah, that-
Astley. Oh, jeez.
okay, but yeah, if you do know the answer to the song, post it in the Discord. You won't win any prizes, but you'll at least make us look like idiots. So that's prize enough, I would say. Welcome to another episode of the Real Gamerscore podcast. I'm joined here today by Cameron and Tarragon. We're 100% on time, early in fact. If we were recording this episode for next week, it is Thursday. It's Thursday. I've been traveling, so it's been my fault, unfortunately. So if you want to throw tomatoes, throw them at me.
I was going to say I was going to record an episode on Tuesday, but you would have just heard me screaming into a microphone for like 2 hours with absolutely no idea what I'm doing, and then you wouldn't even had to listen to it because I don't know how to edit.
That's so same as normal, really. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. No, just I mean, Cameron basically barely talks on the episodes when it's just me and him. Anyway, it's basically just me monologuing.
I just preserve my talent for the much needed occasions.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, mate, I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's coming. If you want to roast Cameron, Mr. Shadowless Edge, you can join us on the Discord, discord.io/realgamerscore. That's where you get the real barbs in. That's the best place to just lay on the gifs and the trolling and the getting thrown 15 feet through an announcer's table. And also to ask questions for the show. So if you want to have us answer your weird gaming questions like we're some sort of expert, you can also add them on there. But the Discord is basically, for those who don't know, it's basically just a big chat room where we all just talk about video games, the US election, apparently.
I also want to put into, Trimmy, we're not doing a calendar. You haven't paid us enough.
That's true. We haven't hit the Patreon tier for the Real Gamerscore nude calendar, okay? Like, that's... I mean, I'm not saying it would take a lot, but it's just a little bit more than we're getting right now. I'm not that cheap. I'm just relatively cheap.
I had the camera set up and everything.
Yeah, I know, but with COVID, I really feel like if we're gonna do the photo shoot, like I don't want to have to Photoshop each other in. Like we need to be in a group to do this. I think that's like a good PAX thing for next year.
Let's get the private room.
Oh well, I mean, I was just thinking we just get a booth, but that's fine.
Don't get me wrong. Don't feel insulted, but I do not want to be locked in a room full of naked men.
Why not?
Well, and that is clip of the week. All right, we got it in early. That's 8 minutes into the show. Perfect. I'm just going to write that time down. Cameron's blatant homophobia.
I'm not homophobic. I'm just saying it's not for me.
No, I'm cutting that obviously. Actually, I'm just going to be. I'm not homophobic, and then I'll cut it, and then I'll put something even worse afterwards.
But
so if you want to give us some cash, as we're talking about here, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/RealGamerscore. Basically, helps keeps the light on. The one light.
Yes.
Actually, a bunch of my. I mean, look, as I was talking, like one of my bulbs did blow out.
I was going to say more homeowner issues.
It just keeps happening. It's the more I meme about it, the more it happens. So I really should shut up.
Look, you completely just reminded me about this week is entirely the home appliance episode, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was going to be, but then I got all my appliances fixed. But if you're looking for a disk drawer, I know a guy who's really good at fixing them. And now I know how to fix them, apparently, because he's like, hey, you a technical guy? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And
I'm
he's
sick
like,
of these call-outs.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, he's like, here's how to fix this. And then he took it all apart. And he's like, but don't do this because while I probably need another $500, you probably don't have it. And I was like, I appreciate your honesty.
I was just saying earlier, I've been really frustrated with computers, or for probably the last decade. But just I got frustrated with something just before, and I was just wandering around, and I was talking to my housemate about it, and I basically said, I really hate computers, and it's my job to hate computers so that you don't have to.
It's the crosses we all have to bear, Yeah,
exactly.
The sacrifices we make. But yeah, so if you want to give us some cash, patreon.com/RealGamerscore, we really appreciate it. Lets us do competitions, helps with server costs, running the show and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really. I mean, we do like our competitions, and we'll talk about them coming up. We've also got the random to-do list. Tarragon, you want to talk about what that is?
Random to-do list is a monthly challenge. We pick 25 achievements randomly from your available games, and you are tasked with unlocking them over the month. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's a really good incentive to sort of, if you're not sure what to play, or you need to, something to incentivize you to go back to your backlog, because God knows I need it.
Yeah, so people do it for different reasons. There is nominally a leaderboard, so there's a sort of a contest going on, but it's not really taken very seriously. A lot of people just use it to decide what games they're going to play that month, or specifically work through old games and backlog stuff. So, yeah, you can join any time. There's no sort of limit to that. We're fairly lax with making sure you get a list you want to play. So yeah, just contact us on Discord or through True Achievements, and we'll set you up.
Fantastic. And so we've also got the hottest competition on the Discord, the Real Gamerscore Word Challenge.
Formerly known as the Shadowless Word Challenge.
Formerly known as that, but now you don't know what the answer is, so...
Damn it.
And neither do we, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you do.
Of course I know it, man. I figured it out the first week. I just wanted to give everyone else a chance. Just like Jay Black. So...
Kirby's realization of his name.
Yeah,
Absolute
exactly.
gold.
Yeah. So funny. I mean, at least he was honest about it. So we've got so where did Kirby put that new damn clue? I knew he wrote it in here. He said, "Oh yeah, make sure I'll put it in the chat so you don't know." I've got it. Oh, okay, I got it here. So basically, if you don't know what the competition is, we have a channel in our Discord that basically says, "Hey, put in the right word and you win a prize." The word is a game, in this case. And so each week we're releasing a clue, and as the clues get, as the clues help you try and figure it out, we're also going to jackpot the prize. So we start off at $10, and now we're at $20, and now we're going to be at $30.
Can we confirm that he's actually set it up?
I mean, look,
No.
I had not considered that possibility, but he did say that he did it. However, Kirby has said many things and not done them. So,
Or it would not be out of the question that he says he's done it, and he hasn't actually said it, and he's just laughing at everybody guessing things that will never trigger anything.
Eventually he will set it up, but it'll be the only thing that no one's ever guessed. So, the clues that we have currently are, the first clue is that it is a game in a trilogy. It is not the trilogy in itself, it's just a single game that you need to guess. The second clue is 9 years, with no other context. And the third clue is 2 platforms.
Okay.
I can't give any more clues than that because I literally do not know what it is. And I also would like to win the prize. So if you want to win $30, put your thinking caps on and get into the Discord.
Thinking caps.
Yes.
Nah, that's not a clue. Don't listen to me.
No, dig it. No. I don't. We don't want any sort of. We don't know. We literally do not know.
Kirby's not here. We don't have any misdirects going on.
Exactly. All right. And with that out of the way, let's get on to the news. So, this is not so much a news story as it is...
confirmation of something that we knew was going to happen.
We almost certainly knew was going to be the case. So, Elder Scrolls 6 is confirmed to arrive on Xbox Game Pass day one.
Duh.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're done. We'll just move on. But there have the as Alex likes to call them, the Sony ponies, have been a little touchy around when, you know, what the status of the upcoming Bethesda Studios releases are going to be in terms of was it Starfield? I think it was the other one, Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6.
Starfield's 2022, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they've announced an actual date for it, but that was, I mean, they announced it, 2 years ago now?
Something like that, yeah.
I saw something recently in the news about it.
While you're looking that up, I'll just run through this quickly. So, yeah, basically there was an interview with GamesIndustry.biz. Todd Howard talked a little bit about a few tidbits around how there's going to be no multiplayer components in the new Elder Scrolls title, because that worked out so well for them with the ESO. Although ESO is doing okay, I guess. And it's going to be available on Game Pass day one. They wouldn't talk about whether it's going to be an exclusive. I guess that's more of a Microsoft decision. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to whatever it ends up being. I was a big fan of Skyrim. But it did kind of bring up the interesting thought that there hasn't... we haven't had a new Elder Scrolls for an entire generation. Like, Skyrim came out, 2011?
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
Yeah, it was the 11th, I think. November 11th.
That's interesting. Bethesda have said that Starfield will be out before Elder Scrolls 6.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so they said that was their most recent project. I mean, they showed at that press conference, the E3 conference a couple of years ago, they showed it off. They showed off about as much of both projects in that they showed a screen and it said Starfield, and then they showed another screen straight afterwards that said Elder Scrolls 6, and you're like, okay, cool. So I guess that's happening at some stage. But again, the Starfield is the same sort of thing, day one Game Pass title. But it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how this affects the Xbox branding, and obviously it's going to be a big centerpiece for them. Is it going to be a timed exclusive? Is it going to be exclusive just in general? Is it going to be multi-plat? I highly doubt the multi-plat thing's going to happen, because there's not really much point in Microsoft spending all this money.
That would be... It would be absolutely crazy to consider saying that Skyrim is basically launched on every platform known to man.
Yeah, it would be great for it to go completely the other way. And it'll just be, yep, absolutely not. Like it's never going near anything that has Sony written on it.
Look, like, the Sony fanboys can complain, but what about all the people with the Alexas and the Samsung fridges? Like, what are they going to do?
Well, I think what would be more ironic is if Microsoft released their streaming gaming platform on PlayStations, and
that would be incredible.
You would buy Game Pass and then play your Game Pass games on your Sony PlayStation through a streaming app. That would just be amazing.
That's the future, right? That's
yep.
It's all it all just it's like that, and then like 5 minutes afterwards, the singularity happens and it's over.
And at the end of that, Donald Trump.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's a giant mess or something. Yeah, so I guess there's not really a lot there. Basically, it's just Todd Howard talking about this, and he also mentioned he also had the great quote that apparently, hang on, I got to find this quote, the exact quote that he said here. Fallout 76 players were quote unquote let down by what we delivered on day one, says Todd Howard.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, so really, it's a great day for stating the obvious. Apparently,
I'm just trying to think with that comment. Like, has any games with a service at that level really launched incredibly well in the last
not really.
2 years?
I mean, it feels like that they should really be learning from each other's mistakes before they come out. But they just seems like, oh yeah, just our first year for all of these is really bad.
I honestly feel the approach now is just like, let's launch with a blank canvas where our players are going to be immediately bored after a few days or highly critical of the game.
I get it. Like, it's the chicken. I think that part of it is the chicken and egg thing, right? It's well, we can't afford to spend a lot on these games because they tend to be smaller budget titles until they become popular, but they're never going to become popular if we don't have enough content. Yeah. So it's just that sort of cyclical. Well, it's like, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back. I mean, the first one of these I really sort of noticed was Destiny, and Destiny. It got mixed reviews. Let's put it that way. It got mixed reviews on launch. It had a decent-ish single-player sort of run, and then it was straight into the MMO sort of stuff. And I think it was kind of the first-person MMO, really.
See,
it definitely, like
on console
for sure.
at least.
Yeah,
I feel like the launch of Destiny, like everything worked really well technically. It was just lacking in story
content.
Content and story, and it felt like bits were missing.
But they've also, clearly, it's just one of the more popular MMOs out there now. Yeah. And they've sort of built upon that. But they had a decent enough launch, and they also had Bungie's experience doing heaps of Halos before that to kind of get the gameplay right. And the gameplay was key. That is, it's just continually fun to play, even if you're doing the same repetitive things over and over again. And that's what you need with a MMO is... Yeah, you're going to have repetitive content. You're going to be doing this stuff over and over again to build up stats or get loot or all that sort of stuff. That has to be fun.
There's the cycle becomes the game at some point, and you have to have a compelling cycle.
Yeah, it has to be fun to play the game. It was fun in Destiny to shoot things. It was just fun. That was part of what made the game the game. If you have an empty game, and I mean, I'll talk about a game I've played a hell of a lot of. Elite Dangerous. It's another MMO style kind of game. My main criticism of that game would be that a lot of the game is doing things that are not fun. Mostly waiting to arrive somewhere, waiting to get somewhere else, waiting to do this. You spend a lot of time in space just either on loading screens or just waiting to arrive at some point so you can do something. And that's not fun. I think that's actually it's a bad thing in the game. I feel really try and reduce that and then get the fun stuff back, and that would make it a better game.
I've never touched Elite Dangerous, but I feel like the devs just have a giant poster in their office just going, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
It's about the journey. But like
it gets to be a problem though when you literally I'm just sitting there with the game running, and I'm watching a freaking movie on Netflix whilst I'm just going jump to jump to jump to jump to jump in the game. That's not
many
playing.
Things.
That's just
exactly.
And I mean, I love the game. I love space games in general, but that stuff just gets a bit wearing. And I guess with games like Fallout 76, I don't know. I haven't. Funnily enough, I bought the disc on release. I've never played the thing. Just it was one of those things. I got it. I think I got it the same day as Red Dead Redemption 2.
Wow! That's the juxtaposed.
Well, ironically, I've not played that much either. So, go figure. Yeah, I don't know. What I felt from the Fallout 76 launch was that it was fairly empty, and I guess there wasn't enough to keep people going. Like the gameplay wasn't quite there to get people as immersed. And I think what people expect with Fallout is a fully immersive NPC-driven narrative. Fallout 76 pretty much had no NPCs to start with, from what I understand, and the narrative wouldn't be there. So it's kind of an empty narrative and not much interaction between like what you would expect in a regular Fallout game. Yeah, you're going to get criticisms. The gameplay loop itself might be fun. I don't know, but that's not what people were expecting from a Fallout game. So I guess that might be where it all started. I don't know if it's gotten better. I mean, it's still running, obviously, but
yeah, I mean they have improved it. I mean, to be fair, they couldn't make it much worse.
No, they could have.
It's a Bethesda title. So.
I can tell you from the 5 minutes I played on both Windows 10 and the console, it was a game.
It certainly was a game.
It definitely responded to my controller inputs.
Yep. It booted to a start screen.
I left the vault. I got an achievement. That's it.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Just realised too, that's probably never going to leave Game Pass now, is it?
No, probably not. Well, that's with the Bethesda acquisition. I mean, a lot of that stuff like the Rage titles and stuff like that are probably going to be on there permanently, which is nice.
Or at least cycle out and cycle back in.
Well, I mean, like the Halo titles never leave, right?
Then.
What was that?
I should probably sell my disc of Fallout 76 then.
Yeah, and then it will leave Game Pass.
It's a relic now. It'll be the one thing to survive the apocalypse.
True. I'll think about it.
Oh,
something for the wall.
Just frame it. Be like Stallion putting up his copy of Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, I really wish that... Like, I have my virtual trophy case of my bad games, but I really wish that sometimes I had some physical copies of some of this trash.
Mate, this is why I keep holding mine. I got some classic 360 ones.
Oh, God, there's so many bad games out there. All right, let's move on to our next news story. Unless there's anything else you guys wanted to cover with that.
Nah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much.
In other news, water is wet. Basically.
Is it?
Are you sure?
Oh my.
I mean, look.
Let's no. You're starting a whole argument.
I'm not getting into fake news here.
Okay.
Like,
is it hard or soft water?
Well, I mean, like if you put the right stuff into it, it becomes a non-Newtonian fluid. So that's kind of like, it depends really how much pressure you put on it.
Yeah, put it under enough pressure. Yeah. Heat, pressure.
Custard. I love custard. All right.
Moving along.
Cameron, did you put the story in here?
Yeah, so I put the story in. Quickie, but a little bit of an interesting one. Microsoft is phasing out peer-to-peer voice connections for Xbox Party Chat to beef up security. Sorry, my voice went all croaky then.
That's all right.
So basically, there was a post on Reddit the other day about somebody warning... you'll be playing a game of Rainbow Six Siege. Somebody will send out an invite, and then you'll get DDoSed.
Oh, really?
Which is always amazing with those kind of multiplayer games.
Okay, I didn't even realize it was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like I'm massively antisocial and don't talk to anyone I don't know, so
you're safe. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
I mean, the day that I come across you in a Rainbow Six Siege session is.
I'm totally dossing you.
But yeah, so
I just have a server farm set up specifically just to DOS you.
I was just going to say, Alex is sitting there with his 20 Xboxes and he's got the Switch ready to flick.
Oh, dear. So yeah, players can DDoS your network through this using your IP address if you join a party.
Right.
So the technical thing is that they basically they invite you to a party. As soon as you join that party, you're set up with a peer-to-peer connection, which means basically you're talking directly to them. That exposes your IP address to them. They wouldn't be able to see it through just normal means. They'd actually need to be watching on their router or some other system, but they can then see your IP address. Once they've got your IP address, they can just slam you with a whole bunch of traffic, which will then denial of service your link. So the fix there that Microsoft are rolling out is to stop peer-to-peer connections like that. It's always going to go through a server. The side effect of that is potentially worse performance because
I was going to say latency will be a problem, right?
And just it's a reliance on a third-party server as well to be up and to not screw up things. It's kind of more secure, but it's also maybe less reliable. To be fair, though, the reason they implemented a lot of this peer-to-peer stuff was because internet was slow. Internet is no longer slow, or at least it's not as slow, depending on where you are, of course. But I think when the stuff was first implemented, I mean, people were barely getting ADSL and broadband connections. So
we've come a long way. Well, maybe not Australia, but the rest of the world.
Yeah. So I feel that's the history of the peer-to-peer connections. Not having reliable bandwidth to servers in particular, and also just cloud-based stuff. Anyway, technicalities aside, this is probably a good thing. I don't know that it's actually that big a deal, but not leaking information to other people is a good thing overall.
It's probably a bit of a big deal if you're spending every night playing Siege or something like that.
Don't accept random party invites. I mean,
exactly. Don't talk to anyone, and then maybe play another game.
16-year-old random that is, playing Siege every night is not going to listen to that advice.
Well,
he's gonna
on their own head be it.
So.
He's going to tell him what he's going to do to my mother, and 60 days.
No, that's still today.
The
It's
more
not
Xbox
360.
changes, the more it stays the same. All right. Let's move on to our last story here about The Medium, which is Bloober Team's, I think it's Bloober Team, their latest title, the makers of Observer and Layers of Fear, has been running into some trouble with classification in Australia. Who would have thought?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not hugely surprised by this. Australia has a couple of restrictions on content that tend to trip these particular games, but often, a lot of the time, it actually gets resolved, or there's a small tweak to the game which then allows it to be released. At the extremes, of course, we also get like Saints Row 4 has an Australian stack, which is sort of a good thing for achievement hunters because it means we get another stack of the game. But
it's also like not a bad game, which is unusual.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to get reclassified and be fine. If not, I mean, it's actually pretty trivial to switch region anyway. I mean, obviously don't condone that, but I mean, everybody does it. So
I still get so frustrated that this is still a thing, though, when I want to say back around 2010, the sex party in Australia, Australian politics, got it voted in for an R rating for video games. I'm pretty sure it was then, but
I think it was.
It was certainly. It went through a lot of. I don't know if it was the Sex Now the Reason Party. I don't know if it was them specifically, but there was definitely a push to get.
I know they were pushing really hard back when I was in high school. Yeah.
But then the restrictions on games were actually even higher, and now that we have an R rating, some of those restrictions for R is still hit these things, like you can't show drugs showing having a positive effect, so you can't like go and shoot up heroin and suddenly be a superhero. It's
which is why the Saints Row 4 thing basically got cut out. There's a mini game. There's a side mission in there where you basically smoke crack out of a broken light bulb and get superpowers. So they decided to cut that bit out.
Yeah, and they draw a big no at sexual violence. And I suspect that's probably what's tripped up the medium.
I would probably
just
agree.
Based on the kind of game it is.
And especially like the Layers of Fear stuff and even Observer sort of skirts some of those themes. It doesn't go into those things in that sort of way that this game sort of seems to, or potentially may. But they're no strangers to some questionable content in terms of.
Yeah, the thing I find with the classifications though is it's about context.
Yeah.
Another thing about the classification board as well is that they tend to not necessarily review every single detail of every single thing that they get given. There's a lot of stuff they need to review. So what they will actually do is they go and get cliff notes from the developer to say, here's what's in our game. And they basically look through that, check it off, and go, yeah, okay, this is a problem, this is not. Refused classification isn't the end of the world. It's just based on the information you've given us and what we've looked at, it doesn't suit. They can then get that put up for review and say, okay, here's more context on the scenes that you have an objection about.
Clarification.
And then I've seen this a few times. It just goes, okay, well, yeah, we've reviewed that. It's fine in this context. Done. So I guess really what they don't want to, what the classification board is trying to avoid is sexual violence totally out of context just for like gratification rather than anything else. If it's in context or if it's part of the story that actually kind of makes sense and it's not glorified, then that's usually fine, but it has to be explained.
Yeah, and which, like looking at the stuff, like it'll almost certainly be a narrative spin for it. Like Bloober Team doesn't seem like the kinds of people who have this sort of gratuitous stuff in there for the gratuity's sake.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely certain any of that would be for narrative reasons and would actually make sense. It's not just there as a throwaway. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that they'll be able to get around that classification issue.
Agreed.
Anyway, we'll see.
Do you think they're going to block the questionable content with a koala eating big liver's face?
Like South Park did? Yeah. That was a good one. I mean, you never know what they might have to tweak. All right. So, Cameron, you've added a topic in here.
I just thought getting towards the end of the current generation with the new consoles coming out on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. I can't remember days anymore. Just talking briefly about what our top 3 games for the generation were.
Boy.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had a little more time to think about this, but...
Yeah, you do realise I've played a fair few games.
You've had 2 days.
I didn't even know I was going to be on.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't even know I was going to record this week. All right. What... Okay, well, how about you go first, Cameron?
I'll start. You guys can
prepared. You just want to throw us under the bus.
Just loading up True Achievements. What games?
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
yeah,
crap.
I'm like, what have I played recently?
2000.
That's like
Damn
super
it.
good.
Alright, so to me, these 3 titles are probably my most memorable over the whole span of the generation, and probably some of my damn favorite games. I have left off a few that I have done like massive hours in, like Destiny's probably a good example. I think I had like 800, 900 hours clocked up. Titanfall 1. The original Titanfall was one of those games that the movement was phenomenal. It was just one of those games that once you played it, you didn't want to stop.
Yeah,
and I appreciated the fact that the achievements were such a heavy multiplayer-based list back at the start. Like, I believe most of them were like win 25 or 50 games in each game type, certain stuff like that. The only thing I didn't appreciate about Titanfall 1 was the zero achievements, which I never unlocked because they quite clearly don't count. To certain people.
Okay, all right. That's fine. That's you're allowed to have your own opinion, Cameron. That's what the podcast is all
You're
about.
allowed to be wrong. It's fine.
I'm going. I'm going to also bundle Titanfall 2 in with this because realistically, Titanfall 2, I feel like most of it was just a reskin in terms of the multiplayer maps, or they were very, very similar.
I've heard the single player on that is actually really, really good, though.
Yeah. Titanfall 2?
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 is really
incredible.
good.
I would say, I think it's probably the best first-person shooter campaign this generation.
And when EA bought Respawn, I was completely freaking out.
Yeah, I'm glad that they've. Yeah, actually, because I think, like, looking at my list here, I think another Respawn game will probably feature on my list as well. Actually,
Apex look, is a really good game as well. But I mean, battle royales these days are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, like it's good, but I mean, I wouldn't put any generational stuff on it.
Yeah, Titanfall 2 though, amazing story.
Yeah,
you got to have a robot best friend. That's
absolutely. And then you got to get thrown like a goddamn baseball. I love it.
That's exactly it. To nobody's surprise ever, my next game is going to be kind of a bundle deal again because they're basically the same. Forza Horizon 3 and Forza Horizon 4.
Yep.
Shock horror, I added a racing game.
Mm-hmm. And two of them.
Both amazing games. Realistically, I just wanted to say 4 for the most part because I feel like 4 was absolutely phenomenal, like gorgeous game. I don't think there's a game on the Xbox One that is as beautiful as Forza Horizon 4.
Those tires are round, mate. They're real round.
Yeah. And I'm really, really anticipating Fable from Playground.
Yeah, me too. Actually, to be fair, I'd be really interested to see what they can do. I'm hoping it's a relatively.
I feel like they're going to be one of those studios that once they start branching out, they're going to be unstoppable. Like they've already turned Forza Horizon into like.
Yeah, they somehow managed to turn Forza into a game that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I actually played through and completely finished the first Forza Horizon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to do 4 now, yeah?
I'm never playing another racing game ever again. That was the one exception.
Look, I don't blame you if you don't want to do 2, but 4 is absolutely amazing.
I'm so bad at racing games.
Yeah, see, I think the same thing about me, but people say I'm alright, so I don't know. Yeah, like, look, both amazing games. I honestly can't wait to see what they do next. I reckon Forza Horizon 5, I mean, if you got like a Tokyo Drift kind of vibe to it, would be absolutely phenomenal. But yeah. And pretty much my last one is Sunset Overdrive. I really think that Microsoft missed out basically on buying Insomniac.
Oh, I don't know if they could, yeah. I mean, like, I really wish they'd made a sequel to that game, but the Insomniac relationship with Sony is probably a hard one, considering all the work they've done with Ratchet and Clank and Spyro. And,
that's exactly it. But
Resistance, Fall of Man.
I think Sunset Overdrive is the one game that I could easily put in anybody else's list and say it is an underrated gem.
I just could not get into it. I started it. I went in with best intentions. It just did not grab me at all. And judging by sales, it did not grab a lot of people either. So it might a lot of people who like it really like it, and that's fine. But I don't. It seems like one of those kind of niche games that a bunch of people really, really love, and then the rest of the world sort of like a meh.
It hasn't grabbed me in the way that I hoped it would. I've gone back to it a couple times for things like head to head and random to do list, and gone back and just played a bit more of it. And like I enjoy it, but like it doesn't. Yeah, there's something about it that doesn't quite work for me. But I can tell that it's obviously a high quality game. They put a lot of time and effort and polish into, but. Yeah, it just doesn't quite grab. But I totally understand why it would be up there for you.
I think the reason too is when did you jump into when did you play it, Tarragon? Did you play it near launch or?
Probably. I think I was at PAX when they were showing it off before launch. I didn't really look into it then, but I think I played it within the 6 months of its release.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think my mentality with it was I jumped from Titanfall, which is a fast-paced game, to Sunset.
Yeah, which is a similar and not necessarily aesthetic, but in terms of
movement,
verticality and movement for sure.
Yeah, and I think back at the start of the generation, or like within the first few years of the generation, those kind of games were like you didn't see stuff like this on 360.
No, you didn't actually, and it was. I remember when it got announced, it was like, wow, this is actually like a breath of fresh air. That it's not, gunmetal grey chest high wall cover shooter.
Yeah, and like that's all I played on the 360. Like I was just playing Halo. I was just playing Call of Duty back when I used to do regional tournaments, that kind of stuff. And then that was pretty much it. But they're definitely like my top 3 for the generation.
All right. Tarragon, you got anything? I've got a few if you still need to...
Yeah, I'm working through my list of honourable mentions at the moment, so maybe you go.
Sure. So I've got a few in here. I'm probably going to go... I don't know if I can do a top 3, but I'll run through a few of my recommendations at least. Yeah. First one that pops to mind, Alien Isolation.
Yes.
From a narrative perspective, the game is probably about a third too long. And it, the sort of the conceit for the game sort of runs out. It runs out of steam a little bit before the end of the game. However, I don't think I've ever played a game that perfectly encapsulates the feeling of the way the Alien franchise is, like the sort of horror and the just existential dread of just being like, I do not know what is going to happen, and just like the real primal fear of just being like, if I drop something or make a noise, you hear, you screw up, you shoot something, you knock something over, you hear the pad of the alien just sprinting from wherever it was to get you, and it's the most terrifying thing in the world. You're like, I'm done, like, and then suddenly you're just, you look down, you've got a spike through you, and
I think it's the kind of you're walking around, something makes a noise, and you just hear that noise of the alien dropping out of a vent, and it's like, oh crap, where do I hide?
Yeah, oh crap, hide. What do I do? Do I hide? Do I run? Do I get a flare? Like, is it going to work? And the idea, like, this is one of those games that you need to like crank up the difficulty on, and really immerse yourself in, and just be absolutely terrified. It's so good. I don't think it's a perfect game.
It's one of my top 3, so we'll just share that rather than doubling up. But it's. I think on top of that, just being a good horror-based game of just hiding. It has other elements as well, with defeating the androids and humans and survivors and things like that. It's not all just running away from an alien, but I think, if you've ever watched the original Alien and Aliens the movie, I've watched developer discussions on what they had to do to make this game, and they had so much attention to detail to follow what was in the movies, basically to get that whole 70s, 80s aesthetic of a lot of the technology that's in there. All of the sounds, like a lot of the sounds, I think they either lifted or replicated directly from the movies. It's just the attention to detail really makes you feel like you are literally in that movie or one of the movies, or in that environment and in that world.
It's a real love letter to all of that stuff. Like, it's like you're 100% right. They understand it in a way that only someone who has a real love for it could. Without making it feel dated, like, it still feels like a modern video game. It still plays well. It looks good. They didn't sacrifice anything to get that, which is incredible.
Yeah, I think one of the nice little touches of it as well is it doesn't have automatic saving, which is just sort of an anathema with games. But they actually implement it really well. It's like you've got an ID card that you then have to slot into a machine, and then you wait for the machine to actually click through its saving process. Meanwhile, you could easily be killed by an alien while that's happening. So it's just like, hurry up.
And like, it's just the thing of being like, oh, yep. I'm like, do I have enough time? Do I risk it?
Yeah. And then
sometimes you risk it and it does not pay off.
And so the thing as well is you could save, and then there's like a period of time when you can't save again. So I'm just like, right, you can't just go like save, move to the next bit, save, move to the... No, you save, and then you do what you have to do, and then die, and then... Yeah, it's very, very tension building.
For sure. I think another one, I know it's kind of the cop-out pick, but The Witcher 3, I think, is probably the best RPG this generation. Like, again, like, combat. The combat is a little bit simplistic, and it's not perfect, but it does so many things so well, and blends together both narrative and gameplay and player choice, and just a huge open world in a way that I just didn't even think was possible. And I'm so excited for Cyberpunk. I mean, again, the expectations are huge, and I'm trying to temper them a little bit, but yeah, like, they had a masterpiece on their hands, and they just kept supporting it. And the DLC packs for a really good, and it just feels like a really, really complete experience, even if you haven't played the first two. And then for my third one, I guess I have to say Nier Automata Become as Gods.
See, those are two games that I just have not gotten around to playing that I know are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on my list, but yeah, my list is long, and I don't have a lot of time, and I need to earn a lot of points for various contests. It's stupid.
It's a hard ask.
The worst thing about doing the Game Pass challenge for me was the fact that I've added easily another 50 games that I want to check out at some point or another, because it's
and another 300 that you never want to touch again.
Exactly.
No, but you dip your toe just long enough to I really need to get back to this at one point, and then you don't.
Yeah, I found that when I was going for, what was it, a milestone recently. I think it was 550 or something.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to, at the time, try and chase, I'm fairly high up there as far as starter games in Australia goes, because I'm an idiot. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try and reach X point on that leaderboard. And so I had to, dive 50, 70 games or something like that. And I just was doing that and doing and going, I just really hate playing like this. I really hate doing this. I had to stop. It was just they're all these games. I want to play these games. I don't want to play them to the first bit, spoil my introduction to the game, and then have to come back and remember whatever it was, or just restart the thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
Yeah,
that's why I was loving the games that it was Fallout 76, Leave the Vault.
Easy.
It's all right, cool.
Press the start
button.
Done.
Out.
Yeah, so I say Nier is one of those things where, again, the gameplay was good but not amazing, but the narrative and the world and just everything about I couldn't get enough about it. I know there are certain people that I speak to who have the incorrect opinion about this game. I mean, I'm not going to name names, Mike, but I love that. I love everything about that game, and just I had such a fantastic time about it, and it was one of those things that I wanted to share with other people and talk about. And I'm a relatively I joke about being antisocial, but gaming for me is usually a relatively solitary thing that I like to enjoy on my own, and then occasionally talk about. But this was one of those things where I wanted to be involved. I wanted other people to play it. I wanted to get into discussions about it. It really, really invigorated me into being wow, this is actually this is what I play video games for, and that doesn't happen a lot. I'll give some honorable mentions to a couple of games. Jedi Fallen Order, I was really, really happy with, just because we finally got a good Star Wars game where I got to use a lightsaber. Observation, which I played recently, was fantastic, 100% my kind of narrative game.
Yep.
And then A Plague Tale: Innocence was just a really, really good narrative experience and pretty good gameplay. And way better than I expected it to be, and I think they're working on a sequel, so I'm looking forward to that.
Guess over to me. Alien Isolation we've already covered. Similar vein, Layers of Fear. With that game really sucks you in if you let it, and let yourself immerse yourself into the atmosphere of it and the sound.
It's so interesting, every aspect of it.
Yeah, and it just builds tension. I think a good horror game is not about jump scares. It's about building tension and maintaining that tension, as well as being engaging with a story of some sort, which I think Layers of Fear did both. It had its jump scares, but they weren't what made it good. I mean, there are games like, say, Emily Wants to Play. That's basically jump scares. That is the entire thing. You don't really feel a lot of tension there, except during the stupid random third or fourth stage, whatever it is, where you go anyway. Layers of Fear really built the tension all the way through. You knew there were a couple of safe places, and that's kind of when you could just breathe. But the rest of it was just
it had atmosphere.
Yeah, and I think horror games live and die by their sound design. Primarily, you can do a lot of things wrong with graphics, and a lot of things you don't need to focus on that as much. If you have the sound design down, your game will work as a horror game. And Layers of Fear really did that well. My third game, and this is a game that's not going to surprise anyone: Batman: Arkham Knight.
Oh yes.
Now, there's mixed reactions to this game, and Cameron's off. Okay, I'm out.
He's like, Batman. No, he suddenly saw the signal out of the window, and he's like, "Oh, no, gotta go, mate."
Yep. I mean, it's no secret that I love the Batman games. And there's a bit of controversy about this one, about the tank controls and that sort of stuff. I happen to really like the tank stuff. A lot of people really hated it. The people who really hated it probably didn't have as much of a good time with the game overall.
There was apparently quite a bit of it in there.
Yeah. So if you didn't like it, then yeah, that was going to detract from your enjoyment. I thought the story was great. There is, I mean, yeah, it's been out for several years now, but I won't spoil the twist of it. There is you get through the first kind of stage of the game, and then there's a real bang twist, which I mean, you sort of would expect that this thing would happen, but when it does happen, you're just like, oh wow. Particularly after the events of Arkham City. So yeah, it carried on from Arkham City really well. Introduced some new elements to it that were really good, I think. The tank's kind of a bit hit and miss depending on who you are. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I kind of wish they'd do a remaster so I could play it again.
No. Well, you might be in luck considering how the other ones do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they may do a remastered trilogy or something like that for the Xbox Series X, which would mean
wouldn't surprise me.
The 11th completion of Arkham Asylum.
Oh God.
So I do have some honourable mentions. Probably a couple of the recent ones. Talos Principle. I got really surprised by that. I had it on my radar for ages. It's always been quite expensive for what I thought the game was, which is like a physics-based puzzler, and I couldn't really quite understand why it was like always $60, $70. But then it came out on Game Pass, and I finally sat down and played it, and yeah, okay, it's a physics-based puzzler, and it's very well done. There's a lot of really good puzzles. But the narrative in it... It really just pushed a lot of buttons of things that I like, which was it's philosophical. It's philosophy of religion and what religion means, and there's like this debate that goes on with you and like one of the sort of computer simulations, basically, which is sort of a allegory for like being tempted by the devil, and there's just all this sort of stuff going on there. If you decide to delve into it and get the full story, and it's. Yeah, anyway, it's a great game, particularly if you like puzzles, but also for the narrative. Highly recommend. Destiny, I sort of feel like that's almost last gen, but it's kind of this gen too. I spent a lot of time with that.
I mean, when was it, like 2014?
Yeah, I mean, it was
September 2014.
I've got the completion on 360, put it that way, and there was a lot of the DLC was on 360, then over to the Xbox One. So, all
right, you didn't need to rub salt into the wounds. I know I'm still... I'll get there one day. I just need that one bloody achievement.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've still got my account there. If you need a hand, just let me know. Elite Dangerous might be surprising. It didn't actually make my top 3. I've kind of gone off it a little bit. And again, I touched on that earlier. It was just it's like too much space and not enough to do. I guess one that's, again, across gen, I think, Life is Strange. That's kind of a highlight for a lot of things. It was kind of a better Telltale.
I can hear
especially at the time, yeah.
I can hear Kirby's jaw dropping across the room.
And the last two, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, was a surprisingly good game. And everyone's favourite, Ben-Hur. I think everybody should play that.
That's the real answer. Game right there.
Yeah. That game needs a remaster.
I mean, it needs something. That's for sure. All right. Well, speaking of that, let's get into what we've been playing. I'll go first quickly because I've been away for work, so I haven't had much of a chance to play stuff. But I did go through Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Yep. Which
speaking of jump scares,
yeah, these boy, it's still terrifying. Those damn animatronics. Basically there's a glitch or an exploit or something along those lines. It was part of the PC version where you can skip levels. So there's a level skip within it. So essentially all you have to do is put your mouse over a certain part of the map or a certain part of the screen, click it to make sure it makes a noise, and then you hold down like C and D, and then you press the plus key on your number pad, and it'll just take you to the next night and give you the achievements.
Okay, so it was built into the game. It's neither a glitch nor an exploit. It's a developer-approved level skip. So,
Yeah, so...
Anyway.
Wish 3 and 4 had the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, finally, right? So that game became a 1 hour completion. So you basically just rip through it. Just do it on the PC. You probably need to connect a controller to get the last night custom night achievement, because for some reason you can't click the button to start the thing, which seems like a bit of an oversight, but whatever.
Is that one of those games that would support a keyboard on the Xbox?
Oh, I think it does, actually, yes. I didn't test it, but I have heard that it will do. So basically all you need to do is just go through the 6 or 7 nights using the level skip, and then basically just keep replaying and losing the 6th night or the custom night over and over again until you unlock all 4 of the mini games. It's completely random. You just have to pray to RNGesus that you get it. It took me probably about 45 minutes of me sitting there, so the game probably took me 50 to 55 minutes total.
Call it an hour.
Yeah, round up.
Extra 5 minutes to download it.
Exactly, yeah. It actually took me an extra 5 minutes to find a wireless keyboard, because I realized that I don't have a number pad on my laptop, so I couldn't actually hit the plus key. So I was like, oh, great. And so then we also have we also played some Strange Brigade with the crew, and we had a startling discovery. The startling discovery was that we had not been playing on the hardest difficulty like we thought we were.
Boom, boom.
Yeah,
I blame everybody else but me.
Yeah, so it was all Cameron's fault, because he was hosting the first few matches.
I hosted the first night.
100%. I was hosting this time, and I didn't discover it till we were on the second level that we were doing. So I 100% can see how this could happen. But
it's okay. We'll pick this up like 6 months in the future. Exactly.
Once people finally have time. So there is an achievement they added with a title update to basically say finish every level on the hardest difficulty. So we naturally assumed that the one with 3 skulls, there's a space for 3 skulls, was the hardest difficulty. Until I accidentally, while setting up a level, pressed it one too many times and realized that there was a 4th harder difficulty that has all 3 skulls with a bullet going through them. Thankfully, we discovered this right before one of the more annoying bosses. So I think that one's going to count. But it does mean that we have to go back through all of the levels we'd already finished. At least we have the collectibles this time.
But that level with the 2 Minotaurs.
Oh, the level with the 2 Minotaurs is going to be...
The mini Minotaurs?
No, Cameron. No. Because you're going to be doing that a bunch, because we're going to be doing that level for a long time.
Minotaur.
That's with the Minotaurs that turn like 90 degrees.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the ones who for some reason just have a magnet view. Like, they can charge in one direction and just turn on a dime, Tokyo drift around corners. It's... God, I hate it so much. The game itself is fine, like we've talked about before. It's an enjoyable co-op shooter with some of the worst controls I've ever played with. Like I think really what the epitome of it was. We were complaining. Kirby and I were complaining about it, and Kirby goes, "We should probably turn on the aim assist for this." Goes into the menu and he goes, "Oh, it's already on." Oh no. Oh god. So we had some trouble, and it really came into effect with this last boss that we did, where you have to hit a specific point on him repeatedly.
Yeah, that was terrible. I was going to say it feels like the only thing the extra difficulty added though was more them having like 4 times the amount of health.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it just turns them into big damage sponges, which is just like it's not really a great. Like, it doesn't really add anything to the game. But I think we're having a pretty good time with it. I think between all the yelling and the fighting and the arguing over who gets chests and who the loot ninjas are and who solves the puzzles and one of us solves the right
difficulty and
yeah, like I mean,
who runs ahead?
Yeah, who runs ahead and triggers all the traps? And then who. And then Kirby, for example, I happened to stumble into a trap that was hidden by some water, and I got made fun of for that, and then Kirby stumbled into the exact same trap while making fun of me for it. So, I'm just saying, that sometimes these things are easy to miss, Yeah, but I am having a good time with it, so I'm hoping we get back to it. We unfortunately, just timing wise, it's not been great for everyone to get this. It is a 4-player game, and we all need to be on our A game to get through it. So it's
Sucks when people have life commitments.
no, it's ridiculous. I can't bloody believe it. Yeah. So, but I'm hoping to get back to it soon. Also played through Pixel Gladiator, all 5 minutes of it. There's literally nothing to talk about there. And I started Little Hope, the Dark Pictures anthology.
That's right. Me and Kirby are meant to be starting that this weekend, I think, as a co-op.
Yeah,
which will be hilarious because Kirby does not do well with horror games.
No, he does not. He doesn't do well with quick decision making or horror, so he's going to be in for a treat. So I basically did the prologue of it, just sort of the first bit where the story kicks off before I sort of ran out of time before I had to leave for my trip. It looks great. I'm super into it. Like Man of Medan was good, but it was like I'm not really. I didn't get into it in the same way that this seems like. I think that from a narrative perspective is going to be really,
that's
really
good because I found Man of Medan a little disappointing in that respect. I also, and I must say, I played it through, and I think I played it through a second time, and I got pretty irritated that I have to play it through so many frickin' times to get all of the different decision points and the different relationship things, and then co-op as well. I just felt I was kind of dragging it out a bit too much. I sort of enjoyed it the first time through. Yes, there are other twists to the story, but yeah, I don't know, I just didn't feel enough desire to go back and do it again and again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, and unfortunately, like there are achievements there for go through a whole playthrough picking the head decisions and one for the heart decisions in the same way that Man of Medan had it. I think so. You will have to play through it a few times, but
yeah, I think I actually did that, and I must have missed one, or it just wasn't obvious. And yeah,
same thing
after that. I just went, ugh.
Yeah, so it definitely overstays its welcome, unfortunately. But I guess they kind of want you to play through it a few times with other people and to have it be more like a narrative experience. Because they had such success with Until Dawn back in the day. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That opening prologue is basically like something out of Final Destination. It was ridiculous. Yeah, but I'm really interested to see where the narrative goes. It looks like we're sort of heading into a sort of Salem witch trials-esque narrative leanings, which you'll be interested
hopefully I'll be able to see what the story does without being too distracted by Kirby and his squealing.
So the real enhancing is the screams along the way. You just gotta just really lean into it. I'm sure he'll probably end up getting his character killed a few times.
It's the sound design.
Exactly. It's all about sound design. But yeah, so not a lot this week, but that puts me at 2,320. Tarragon, what have you been playing?
Actually, this week not a whole lot. Once this week's GTA SC ticked over, I'm sort of almost checked out this week. We've sort of been pushing. We pushed to get through like week 3 and week 4. It was starting to get towards the end of the week 4 cutoff, and we were getting pretty close. So I ended up just going into Minecraft and dumping a whole bunch of points out of Minecraft Windows 10 version, which got us over the line by a good 1,500 points or something ridiculous.
Nice.
But just after that, I'm just kind of like, I just don't want to play this way anymore. I want to actually sit down and play stuff again, not just work on things to unlock particular scores. So yeah, I haven't been doing that. I did finish off Minecraft. There's only like a couple of achievements left to do there. And I've been playing through State of Mind, which is an odd game. I don't think it got picked up very well on TA because it actually launched, I think, with an unobtainable, which since got fixed.
Was the Chapter 7?
Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, sorry.
Yeah, which was odd because it seemed like it was being unlocked. But yeah, I think that probably put a lot of people off, even though it was in Game Pass for a while. I'd actually bought the game anyway. I think it was on a sale, so I bought it myself, then it went to Game Pass, and then went out of it again.
It's had like a few 85, 90% sales.
It's also on sale this week, just so to give people a heads up.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
The story itself, it's sort of interesting. It's kind of delves into virtual reality stuff and a little bit of almost sort of body horror, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, and just memories, loss of memory, and memories getting screwed up through digital sort of transformations and things like that, and so you don't really know what's quite going on for the first half of the game. It's interesting. I wouldn't. It's not the best game in the world, and some of the achievements are a little bit annoying, and they're not very well guided. This is why I think it wasn't on TA very well, is because hardly any of the achievements have proper guides. Right. I did have one of my own because there's one particularly missable, or to a pair of missable achievements. You kind of need to play through to a certain point in the game to get worst dad or best dad ever, and you need to do specific things. And if you happen to do one of them wrong, then you won't trip either of the achievements. So, right. And finding that out was tough because there was no guides on TA at least. So there is now. Everything else is pretty straightforward. It actually doesn't have a chapter select per se, but it does do a lot of auto saves on the start of every chapter. So actually going back and getting a lot of the missing ones is not that, like, they're not really missable. They're just, you can go back and do the other choice. So I'd probably play it. It's probably got a 6-7 hour game.
Oh, okay.
It's not that long. Depends on whether you're just rushing through it or not. I took my time with it because I like narratives. But yeah, it didn't take that long. The hardest bit for me was just working out what to do to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Right, of course, yeah.
But yeah,
planning out the journey.
Yeah, but the only ones you need to worry about are the best dad ever, worst dad ever, and just make sure you do the set of things to get to those. Everything else you can recover pretty quickly if you want to play it. And Talos Principle, because it's going out of Game Pass soon, so I actually wrapped up. I'd already played everything on the Xbox One version when it came into Game Pass. Through GTA SC, I'd started it again in week 1 just to get, because it's actually a nice realm of nice whatever points out of it. So I'm basically up to, like, there's the inbuilt DLC. They released DLC on the PC version called Road to Gehenna, and that's built into these versions. So I'm basically just going through that now. And I'll be wrapping that up on Windows 10. Yes, I think I've got like 2 achievements left in it, maybe.
Oh, okay, right. So you're really close to getting it done.
Yeah, except that there's like only 4 achievements for the entire DLC, and the DLC is probably a good 4 hours worth of playing. So, right. Assuming you follow a guide and don't try and work out all the puzzles. So it's nearly finished, but it will be a while before it's finished. But I enjoy the game, so. Don't have a problem with that. And that's pretty much all I've been doing this week, and I've not really been thinking too much about the Great True Achievements scoring challenge, and I'm not sure I will, but we'll see. I don't think anybody else in my team is really doing anything either.
One of us. We don't care.
I think, I'm not top scoring, but I was top scoring in my team for a while with 455 TA difference. I'm now second. Our top is 639. I'm 455, and their other 2 are in negatives. So,
perfect. So,
So I think we're off to a good start.
You're just waiting for your Hall of Fame announcement too, yeah?
Yeah. Anyway, that's me for the week.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. I guess that leaves me then. Five Nights at Freddy's. Matt already talked about. Pretty much did most of the same thing. I need to go back and just do the mini games. I just did the nights quickly. Strange Brigade, not really much to add on there.
Did you get the difficulty right? I hear that's the thing.
That's all up to the host, isn't it, Matt?
It is now, because I'm not letting anyone else touch it. That's for sure.
Overwatch. So I went back and did the Halloween stuff around the 6, challenge modes for the Junkenstein Halloween. The last 2 I needed were centered around characters automatically swapping, which was relatively easy. The other one was shock tires dropping from blue. There's like these bombing guys that will shoot you from across the map, which will drop a rip tire, which you have to immediately destroy before it hits the door. Or you have to verse the heroes, which drop 2 rip tires that immediately go towards the door.
Oh.
The door can probably take 6 or 7, and you need to be defending it for 8 minutes plus the final wave.
Okay, so pretty tricky.
This is probably one of the... I mean, look, without cheesing it, most of the Overwatch achievements are pretty hard, but have easily become visible. Because this is a PvE event, it is very difficult. And you need the communication. I think we spent an hour and a half doing it before we finally got it done. And then the other thing I needed was just to go back and finish Endless Waves, which is the same thing, just add an extra 4 or 5 minutes on. Finished that with 6 different heroes. So I did that with 2 of the newer heroes. Finally got that done. I'm very decent with Zen as a healer, I've realised.
Zenyatta,
yeah. Which was very fun. Saying that I helped doing the very last challenge to lock that achievement. I helped a bunch of randoms.
Sorry, am I hearing this right? You are saying that you played better as the character who didn't charge out and get killed immediately in the first sort of wave. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
here?
yes.
Okay,
I'm glad that we have that recorded.
just want to double check. Okay, cool.
I stayed back and I made sure. Look, with Overwatch, I tend to just take over because that's just how I get the achievements in that game.
Yeah, just Overwatch. Yeah, sure.
Look, if I have
Cameron's
knowledge
got a
of
lot
the
of Black Friday shopping experience. We'll put it that way.
Steven's just immediately going to message me as soon as he hears that, and he's just like, he's not wrong, you know. Yeah, I think I've got 4 or 5 achievements left in Overwatch now, which are all the Maze Winter Wonderland ones that were glitched around the anniversary event. Otherwise, I would have the completion. But I'll just wait till they fix it in their future. She Sees Red. Picked it up during the sale this week. Played a little bit of it.
Yeah, I picked it up as well. Haven't played it yet.
Nice game for an FMV. Not really much to comment on. I've only done like 1 3/4 playthroughs. There's 4 playthroughs you need to do. But yeah, not a bad game. Like the twist towards the end of the first playthrough. But not really much I can comment on yet. I pitched up my physical copy of Watch Dogs Legion last week.
Oh, well, I'm glad your Xbox One X doesn't work anymore, because you would have cooked it.
It's been running fine on the OG.
Yeah, but apparently it's only the One X's that are having problems, which is kind of worrying.
Lovely. This is a game that has gameplay and no story.
That's what I've been hearing, is that because of the way they did the game, it's basically just not really a good narrative through thread.
I've loved the first 2 Watch Dogs games. I reckon they got amazing gameplay. Remember picking up Watch Dogs 1 on launch and just blitzing through it, except for that song
I went through, got the completion. There was that silly alcohol drinking game.
I had no problem with that. I
got through that before they patched it. Or no,
I did not. I definitely needed the patch.
I completed the rest of the game and they just patched it when I got to it. But I think didn't find it that hard.
I got through everything but that bloody Song Stink achievement. I hate that Song Stink achievement.
Have you got it yet?
No, I haven't. I don't want to go back and just play purely for that.
Of course, yeah, come on. Just do it, mate. Come on.
I'll finish it one day.
Just pretend it's the 0-point achievement and go get it.
Yeah. Oddly enough, though, I got the completion. Then they released a DLC. I bought the DLC, never played it. That seems to be
the DLC for one is really good.
Yeah, I guess there's just other things going on at the time. I think I bought the season pass for whatever it was, and I mean it's only one DLC, so I don't know why I bought the season pass. But
I'm really interested to see how they're bringing back the 4 heroes, because they've been doing that in a lot of their marketing.
Okay.
So
I don't really know much about it.
I think it's just going to be like DLC characters kind of thing, but just to see how they fit into the story will be interesting. So yeah, basically they've gone full Ubisoft, gotten rid of the story aspect, and just made this fetch missions and that.
Oh god, okay, well I'm glad I'm not buying that.
But like the gameplay, is absolutely amazing, but it's just there's no story. And the voice acting for this game is like... I don't know if I just have a problem with Londoners or if this is just...
Oi, Gav!
Okay, so my main character is this Asian game developer.
Oh, no. Okay.
The voice acting just it just does not match up. Because he does say, like, oi gov, those kind of things. And it's just no. It doesn't work.
It's going all apples and pears.
Saying that, though, the first 15 minutes of the game with the tutorial...
to the first achievement, you just dived this game, right?
No, I played a few good hours, but the first 15 minutes of this game are phenomenal. Like, it's all like MI6 kind of, let's sneak into Parliament. We're going to mix Bond with V for Vendetta. It's just going to be great, yeah? Has an absolutely phenomenal start to the game. And then it's like, hey, let's recruit anybody in...
and here's the whole city. Do what you want.
Yeah.
There's some checkpoint things you can pick up and fetch missions. Go have
Also,
fun.
yeah, you are an assassin.
I feel like
now go and
they-
collect 480 flags.
I feel like if they just basically went, like, we're not going to focus on the gimmick of you can play with, Granny and rob a bank kind of aspect to it. If they had stuck with this main, like, MI6 operative, that would have been a really bloody cool story.
So what you're telling me is you just want a new Splinter Cell game?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree, but I'm just drawing the natural conclusion from what you're saying here, is that you basically want a stealth game
Splinter
where you get
Cell,
to be a cool
GTA
guy.
combined.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Why can't Microsoft deliver on that?
Oh no!
Come on.
I'm not. No, I'm not taking the bait. All right, what else have you been playing?
To nobody's surprise, look, the last game of the week. To nobody's surprise, I've been playing Undermine.
Mm-hmm.
I am addicted. I am very
Really,
addicted.
I never would have guessed.
I think, when was it? Like 10 days? I think like probably 10 days ago was when I started like doing it outside of the Game Pass challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent 105 hours in the game.
Lightweight.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Do you know how many hours I've got in Elite Dangerous?
Well,
Mind you, 90% of them were spent doing nothing. But
I was going to say, that's space is pretty empty.
space, it's big.
So I have like 76 out of 96 achievements, I want to say. I finished my first, complete the game run. Up to the other mine stuff, which basically, after you finish the game, you get this like mix of a raven and a scarecrow kind of character. I don't know how to explain it. Basically, it can hit you with a trident and kill you, and then you go into like this different portal to play the other mine, which is this. It's just Undermine, but
Overmine.
rehash.
Overmine, yeah. Go. Damn it, you beat me to it.
Just
Damn it.
Just rehashing the levels.
Great minds think alike.
Or under yours.
It is very very hard. And it's very RNG based. Like the original game is very RNG based, but just this is like absolute like
RNG, my favourite game mechanic.
I was going to say everything. Like,
Not
I know you love
at
this
all.
game, mate, but everything you're describing sounds like the worst thing in the world to me. It's like, oh, it's really hard, and they just punish you, and then you got to get killed by this thing, and then they take you to a harder level that's even more RNG than the original game.
This tickles my Risk of Rain. Like
Yeah,
gameplay.
okay, I can
I
understand
just
that.
love it. And then saying that, the other day I got to run. I would typically spend like half an hour to 45 minutes in a run, and I'll probably get like 5k gold. The one that I finished for the first time, I had 180 in the space of an hour.
Wow, okay.
So everything, all my ducks just lined up perfectly. Worked. But these last 20 achievements are going to be a bit of a grind. Rogue's Ultimatum has to be applied, and I have to defeat the bosses. Rogue's Ultimatum is a what do they call it? A hex that takes all your upgrades away.
Oh, so you got to really get good.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But basically just jump around, hit, dodge, pray to RNGesus, and then just cry yourself to sleep at night.
Cool, so never playing that, that's for sure.
Yeah, sounds great. Moving on.
But yeah, look, I'll see how I do want to be the first one out of the friends list to get the completion on it. I think there's 22 people on TA that are completed out of 17,000. But yeah, I want to be the first one out of like our communities. But yeah, that finishes up the week 2025.
Oh, nice. It's not bad.
I have no idea what my score was.
Yours, I'm pretty sure yours was around the 2,000 mark.
Okay.
Let me double check.
3,020. So you're actually on top.
Ha!
Sorry, I was thinking Kirby.
I don't even
Playing too many good games, mate.
Look, it's fine. Like,
Minecraft, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we could have had Alex on the show, and he could have told us all about his 70G.
But that 70G, the ratio on that means he would have had like about 3,000 TA. So you know.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
true.
Well, yeah, but he's got so much time to play video games, you know. Like he keeps telling us, he's just so bored. He's just just wants to play
on his
some
Switch
games.
all the time. You know, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. All right, let's move into our sales and other stuff. Game Pass, I should say.
Yep.
So we've got a couple of games leaving Game Pass. A few of them we've got Tracks, the easy completion train driving around simulator.
Note
I need
that
to
there
do
is-
the DLC for
No,
this.
there is DLC. The DLC is also very quick and easy, and high TAD if you want to use it for a certain contest that's going on right now.
Yep. The previously mentioned Talos Principle, I've actually just fired that up to start it because it's going out of Game Pass on the 17th.
It also has a nice TAD on it as well.
I think it's almost a
That-
3.0 ratio.
that would've-
Probably talk
that
to me
would've
afterward
helped.
because there's a few achievements that you need to be careful of if you want to get the completion.
Cool.
But yeah.
Great. Darksiders 3, which again has DLC, I was a big fan of. It is essentially a Dark Souls light.
Yep.
I know that certain people on the podcast had some trouble with it.
Booting the game or just playing it?
Or both, right? I think potentially.
I think for me it was just getting past the fact that it's another Darksiders game.
Oh, right here, mate. I love Darksiders. I mean, the second one, but the first one is top quality.
I don't know. It probably was a fun game. When it came out, it got really trashed for its character design. It was just like laughable. Like I looked at that and just, no, that's just like you've taken all of these like characters and you just like bolted all these other bits on top of it and tried to
100%.
make this edgy character, and it's just like, no, you just try hard. So I just didn't play the game because I just thought it was ridiculous. But apparently people like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Darksiders series is kind of interesting because the first one was basically a Zelda clone. It was a Gothic Zelda. The second one was more of a sort of 3D looter, where it was a bit more about stats and equipment and that sort of stuff, and this sort of hack and slash. And then this one is essentially Dark Souls. And then they released Genesis, right, which was like a
Which
sort
is-
of...
Is Genesis like a racing game? Because it
Let's-
seems like they're covering off all of the genres here.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's like... Yeah.
Genesis is a puzzle.
It's a
An
Diablo.
absolute puzzle.
It's an isometric Diablo puzzler with some combat in it, right? Like again, they're just trying to hit all the genres. Eventually, it's going to Voltron into like the most amazing game of all time.
Me and Steven have tried to get through Genesis, but it's just that the puzzles are difficult. You have to stop, do a guide when all you want to do is hack and slash like a Diablo clone.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
But yeah, so Darksiders 3 is leaving, and then we also have Munchkin Quacked Quest, but we don't need to talk about that because it is trash and it's unobtainables.
It's completable, yeah.
No,
it's completable now.
it's completable if you...
No.
No, it's not.
It's completable if you don't like being on TA for very long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just avoid at all, like even if it was completable, the game's an absolute mess and was abandoned by the developers immediately.
It's easy points if you got controllers, but you're not going to get a completion.
Yeah, so just don't do it. Gamerscore games, we've got there's heaps of stuff on sale this week, which is quite good. We'll just go through a couple of them. Agatha Knife, 60% off, $4.79, is a hilarious side-scrolling sort of point-and-click with some of the fun...
With some very interesting plot choices.
Yes, yeah, the game is not afraid to go some places.
Yeah.
Amakrog...
If you're easily offended, don't play that game.
No, definitely not. No. It is, yeah. The sequel's also pretty bad too. Amakrog, 70% off, $2.99. Made by the same guy. what did he make? Earthworm Jim, I think it was.
Okay.
Side-scrolling puzzler with some platforming in it. Relatively easy. Follow a guide, you'll be fine. Chroma Gun, 50% off, $7.49. A sort of Portal-esque game where you use colors to solve puzzles. Flipping Death, 70% off, $5.99. Is a side-scrolling puzzle platformer with a sort of heavy narrative focus about dying and mistakenly becoming the Grim Reaper. Made by the same people who made Ticket to the Man. So if you kind of like that game, it was very sort of similar art style where everyone is sort of like cutouts and there's like a lot of layers and it's very paper craft-esque.
Sounds like reminds me of Wonder Song by that description.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, like that, but like definitely not as artistic.
Right.
It's a bit more sort of static. Headliner Novi News, 60% off, $5.59. It is a narrative-based side-scrolling game where you work for essentially a propaganda news network in a sort of surveillance state, and you essentially have to make decisions in a sort of Papers, Please style around what you publish and what you don't. That
really reminds me of a game I've had on my Steam wish list for a while called Not for Broadcast. It sounds very, very similar to that. But
yes.
Not for Broadcast is more you're behind. You're the person deciding on what news gets broadcast, essentially, and you're in a
yes. So yeah, very sort of similar idea where essentially you're the editor in chief and you get all of the stories and you decide, okay, do we talk about foreign influence on our elections? Do we talk about immigration? Do we talk about security in the military? Do we talk about drugs? Do we talk about this this new drink that's come out that are offering to put sponsors articles and stuff, and you get kickbacks for putting it in the thing. Your brother's an aspiring comedian. Do you put an article for his comedy show in the newspaper and get yelled at for it? It's it's a really interesting game. It's very sort of minimalistic. Like you essentially just walk from you go to work, make your decisions, and then you basically walk from your job back to your apartment, and you basically talk to people along the way, and they talk about the news stories, and you see the effects of your what you're broadcasting and what you're putting out there on the world. It's not like it's all just like text and stuff, no voice acting or anything, but it is really, really interesting. It does require a few playthroughs, but I would recommend it. And then Shaq Fu, A Legend Reborn, 75% off, $4.99. Quality side-scrolling brawler. I mean, I use quality in the most sarcastic air quotes possible. It is mildly entertaining. You basically play a Shaq, and you basically just go through and beat people up. And there's a lot of fart references. It's very, very lowbrow. In terms of recommendations, I'm going to recommend A Hat in Time, 50% off, $14.99. If you like the Mario 64, Mario Odyssey style of platforming where you go into a level and you got to try to do a task to get a star, or in this case a hat, it's basically that. Really, it's not a very big game, but it's quite dense. There's quite a bit to it, and I love it. I had such a great time with it. I really hope they do a sequel at some stage or something, because it's it was just a great condensed version of platforming joy that gave me a real nostalgia feel, but also felt modern. And I also recommend, in that same sort of vein, about sort of nostalgia but also modern, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, 60% off, $15.99. A really, really good side-scrolling Metroidvania with a fantastic art style and a really, really good difficulty curve in terms of it starts off relatively simple, but towards the end you actually need to get pretty good at it. Not in a no death speed running kind of way that a lot of these Metroidvanias do, but in terms of platform challenges and boss fights and if you want to get 100% in that game, you got to work for it. And I loved every minute of it.
Did you ever play Monster Boy? Was it Monster Boy in Wonderland, or was it the other way around?
Wonder Boy in the
Wonder Boy in Monsterland. Is that the same kind of genre? Or is
I think it's the same developers. Yeah, so it's very, very similar. I have that sitting there, although I think they've patched it to cut the cheats out or something to make it harder now. But I do have that sitting in my backlog. I've been meaning to get back to.
I used to play that in the arcade. Anyway,
back in my day. Tarragon, you got any recommendations?
No, I didn't really dig through. I think I had a look at the sales, and nothing really jumped out at me at the time. So,
Cool.
Yeah, there's nothing I bought. I did buy She Sees Red, but I haven't really played that yet. I just picked it up because I happen to like that style of game. Yeah, there was that other one, Ord, O-R-D, Dot, which I think is it's another rat, but it also looks like, again, the sort of game I'd want to play, which is kind of visual novel-ish.
Okay. I might check that out.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know more about it other than it was a cheap game that looked quick, and it's kind of had something I liked about it. So,
Right.
may or may not be good.
Enough for me.
I don't think it's actually on
Sold.
sale. I think it's just a new game.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so no, I don't really have anything else to mention other than that.
Cam?
Graveyard Keeper, 70% off for $8.08. I originally played this whilst it was in Game Pass, and it was a absolutely phenomenal game. Very much, very similar to like Stardew Valley, that management task kind of game. Point of time with the DLC, there was quite a few unobtainables. I don't know if they're unobtainables or just broken. But it seems like they have been fixed now. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
It seems like they've all been fixed now. I didn't realise
good.
that the page had been updated on TA.
Okay, might check that out, actually. I know Alison's a big fan of...
It is very addictive. Like, I remember the first time I played in Game Pass, I think I spent 8 hours on it. And that was just...
That was
just diving.
That was diving it, right? Yeah.
That was diving it. It was just like, alright, this is really good. Wait, where'd my Saturday go?
I was meant to have dived 50 other games by now. Damn it.
Yeah.
All right. And then potential purchases, I'm probably going to pick up Alison's Diary Rebirth.
It's a terrible game.
Yep. And She Sees Red, 70% off, $2.99, just because I kind of want to play some of those narrative games, and I've been sitting there looking at them for a while, and, now's the time. I know I'm breaking my rule by not buying any games this year, but I made it to November, so screw it.
It's a new console
Almost
generation. You should
there.
buy something new to bring through the next generation
exactly.
of consoles.
Quality
Buy something that
titles.
really pushes the performance as well.
FMV is where it's at. Cameron?
I've got a list of stuff I purchased in the last 2
Alright.
weeks. Let's read through this list, shall we?
Do we have to? It's fine. I can edit this out. Just go for it.
Yeah, just just edit point now.
I purchased. I purchased
What was that song of
Valhalla.
the week again?
Yeah, it's just Keyboard Cat every week.
So I purchased Valhalla. I purchased Ghostbusters, the video game remastered for Nikita, but I mean that's basically my account too, so I can just use it whenever. All right, going through the games. This is The Police, Necropolis, 7 days to Die, Layers of
Necropolis,
Fear.
Okay.
I don't
As
know
opposed to Necropolis.
Necropolis?
Sorry,
They say of the Necropolis where the Parthenon is.
Layers of Fear 2.
Yep.
And,
Nowhere near as good as the first, but
No,
it's all right.
I enjoyed it, but it's not nearly
Look,
as good.
I purely I'm just waiting for it to drop in price. I expect it not to be as good as the first, but I mean, I'll still give it a shot. How do I announce this? Anodine? A-N-O-D-Y-N-E?
Yeah, Anodyne. Yeah.
Anodyne, okay,
I played
sorry,
through
yeah.
that, yeah.
Think of the Children, BEB Super Mega Bundle, Gods Remastered, Rocket Wars, Crawl, She Sees Red, Formula Retro Racing, Rogue Legacy, Jotan Valhalla Edition, Disco Dodgeball Remix, Hammerick, Sundred, Party Hard, Stab Stab Stab, Stay, Through the Woods, Subterrane, We Were Here Too, Eternity the Last Unicorn, Headline and Novi News, We the Revolution, We Were Here Together, Niflheim, 911 Operator, and the Bradwell Conspiracy.
Okay.
There are actually
so,
some
listeners,
good
you got all of that because there'll be a quiz at the end of the show.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the new word challenge will be all of those games. You just need to get every single one of them in that order.
And no playing back.
No, exactly. No, I'm deleting the episode afterwards.
I'm so going to spoil this here, but I wonder if Kirby's game was one of the We Were Here games.
No, there's no way, because 9 years doesn't make any sense. At least I don't think it does. What about you, Tarragon? Anything catch your eye?
No, other than what I've already said. Yeah, She Sees Red, which is kind of a tongue twister. Now that I've said it 3 times. Yeah, no, nothing else really. I glanced at it. I tended to just glance. At the moment, I have this project on to essentially buy or make sure I've got access to all of the XBLA titles. So I kind of just watch the 360 sales just to see if something happens to come up for sale. Doesn't often, but I occasionally just manage to chip something in there. But yeah, I didn't see anything of interest in the Xbox One sale other than She Sees Red, and yeah, I don't know. I have too many games. Too many games that I'm not playing already.
It's a hard problem. It's a hard problem to solve.
I forgot to list my Chinese games too.
No, we're good. We're good. You don't need to listen to Chinese games. It's fine. I don't need to hear you butcher anything else. All right, let's get into some questions. We've got some questions from our wonderful community. Unfortunately, we don't have time to answer all of them this week, but we will move some of them to next week. But Isaac at the top here has said, if you're like me, you have a ton of games you bought with the intention to play but haven't got around to them yet. Yeah, I wonder what that feels like.
No idea.
With game service shutting down and achievements being discontinued, what game in your backlog are you most disappointed that you can't play now? Thanks for the show. You're welcome, Isaac. Cameron, you've got opinions.
Do I?
They're usually wrong, but yeah.
But you still have them.
Game service shutting down, achievements getting discontinued. What game in your backlog are you most disappointed? Oh, that's a hard one. See, I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask because I probably would still go back and play it. And...
That's right, because you're a monster and you don't even care about the completions.
Even
if they shut down like the whole game, like even if it's just something you would want to play for fun,
it would have to be something like Timefall and trying to go back for nostalgia and just not getting a game, not being able to access the game. I can't think of anything other than like a multiplayer game. I feel like we didn't really talk about it, but like Friday the 13th going from dedicated servers to peer-to-peer, they're doing it right. Like, in my opinion, that's how games at the end of the service should be.
Yes.
Still have the achievements still obtainable by another means.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, just hopefully not controversially made a lot easier.
Oh, I specifically avoided that for this week. I'm kind of with you on that. What do you think, Tarragon?
There's not really a lot. Once upon a time, I cared about completions, and then I started doing a huge bean dive, and I stopped caring about completions, and now I really don't care about completions.
One of me. One.
So, yeah, if a game has unobtainables or discontinued, it won't stop me playing it. But I guess if there was one regret, it would be Tiger Woods PGA Tour 06, which was completely online and has been offline for, decades almost. It's just like, it's one of those, you will never dive this game. You will never play this game because all of the achievements require being online. So anyway, that's probably my only real regret because I like to dive everything, or I used to, and that one's an impossible. So I think even Smirnov regrets that one.
Project Spark.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to go back and finish Project Spark like a year after I forgot it.
I have one achievement left in the Windows version of that I didn't get.
Yeah.
I got the completion otherwise. And it was just one for like collecting 5,000 coins or something silly. And I thought, well, even if it's offline, I can still do that. And of course, I didn't get back to it. Then my Windows 8 thing got destroyed and I lost the files. And now it's just like, it's impossible to do. And that's about when I sort of went, yeah, I don't care about completions.
So I have on my tag I have 16 different achievements that are discontinued that I can't get. I won't go through all of them, but
let it go. Let it go.
It's hard. It's hard. Like I joke, but it is.
We really needed Alex on for this question.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. They're probably the one that annoys me the most is Homefront. Because they shut that down quick, and those achievements were hard to earn, and I didn't get any of the multiplayer done at all. And if I'd known about, like, the game was not good enough for me to have played, if I'd known that was going to be the case, especially when you have full boat. Enter an Xbox Live ranked party. Enter an Xbox Live ranked match in a party with 16 players. Are you kidding me? Jesus.
I didn't even know 16
Some
people.
achievements should just be.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know 16 people, let alone 16 people who have Homefront. I'm also a bit annoyed about GTA 5. They discontinued their 360 achievement, and they just never put it back on. They run like the wind. You got to survive a day with a bounty on your head. They just disabled the bounties.
It just seems like such a stupid thing to do as well.
Honourable mention
Like
or dishonourable mention. Elite Dangerous had or has an achievement for doing a certain number of community events. They just stopped those community events without any explanation of when they were going to bring them back. They had these other things that replaced them for a while, and then they stopped those, and then they basically said, "Nah, we're just not a priority. We're not going to do anything about it." And then suddenly, like a month and a half later, they said, "Oh yeah, we've fixed these things. We're putting them out." It's like messaging, guys. Jeez.
Yeah.
So I think that achievement's fixed again, but it was a bit of an annoyance. Fortunately, I'd already had it, but it was kind of annoyed me because I know some people get really turned off by discontinueds, so I couldn't try and get them into Elite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big time sink and a bit of a waste of time anyway, so I probably wouldn't want to get people into it anyway, but yes. Anyway, so, sorry.
Actually, the community events one is another one that's just I'm not a fan of. I mean, the same problem with Gears of War Judgment. They just stopped doing them. And then just one that really annoyed me from way back in the day, Forza 2. Because I did actually used to play racing games, even though I'm not very good at them. They just shut down the auction house, and there's an achievement for buying or selling 10 cars. I could have easily got it back in the day, but I just didn't even think about it.
My love-hate relationship with racing games is the fact that the achievements will always become discontinued.
Yeah,
almost certainly.
Oddly
You
enough,
can drive as fast as you want, but you'll never be able to escape it.
Oddly enough, I think I have those achievements. I think I saw the servers were shutting down, and I went and got those ones. I barely played the game otherwise, but I think I got those
Wish
ones.
I'd done it.
I just
Sorry.
see there's like I can understand when when a company goes bust and they can't fix them and that. To me that's forgivable, but like stuff like the GTA 5 one is like what's stopping them fixing that? Probably the best-selling game of all time.
Would you like me to explain what's stopping them doing that?
Money, I would assume.
Well, yes. Legacy is the other thing. It's kind of. I've spoken to someone who worked at EA for a bunch of the older sporting titles, which have servers that are shut down over time, and we discussed what they would actually have to do to spool up one of those servers again. Those servers were running on operating systems that were current at the time that are now no longer current, and it'd be a bit like, okay, we need you to install Windows 98, and we need you to be at this patch level to run this particular software, which would also need to get out of archive and would assume that it would compile. And to do that, we'd need the compiler that actually compiles it that was at that time, plus all the libraries that it uses to get it to run. It's just there's a whole lot of if they didn't do the preservation work when they shut it down to make sure it could run again, it's actually quite difficult. So, yeah, I can sort of see for older games in particular, you just spooling, you'd think, oh, just start the server again. Yeah, no, not quite that simple. Technology's completely changed. Everything's on the cloud now. How the clouds work are all different. It's, yeah. So for things that are based on the 360 architecture and that side of things, if they shut down those servers, I don't think they're necessarily that easy to start again. So just from a technical point of view, I can sort of get it. It's frustrating, sure, but how long's that game been around for now? How long was it out on 360? The 360 is a dead platform. Really, nobody's really developing for it. Getting the developer kits for it might be tricky now. I mean, it's just there's a lot going on there. To think about.
Leading to that, I just want to, I guess, curveball a little bit. With the Series X coming out, I've been watching quite a lot of videos lately about the preservation of backwards compatibility. And I would love to see something next gen where we start seeing preservation in regards to servers,
online services.
Yeah.
I think that's really going to come down to the developer and whether they will allow privately run servers, and that's a whole decision that has to be made when they develop the game.
But even if it got to the point of what Friday the 13th is doing, if you lose those dedicated servers, getting a peer-to-peer is the next best thing.
Yeah, and that's developer side stuff.
Yeah.
That's not really something that, say, Microsoft, who would be, it's in their interests, if they're trying to go for this game preservation thing, it's in their interest to provide hardware that will run all of this old software. That's the best they can do, and they can enhance, which is what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they can't guarantee that servers that are outside of their controls keep running or will run perpetually.
That's exactly
Or
the
games will be switched to run peer-to-peer. It's outside of their control. They might advocate for it. I think they would, but yeah.
I just mean if there's I feel like that's the one thing they're doing. The one thing that I've absolutely loved this generation is backwards compatibility.
And they seem to be full steam ahead for it, and I'm hoping they still add some of the older stuff. They continue adding the older stuff as they move on.
Yeah, I don't know. They shut down the 360 backwards compatibility team a while back, so there's no new 360 titles being brought out in backwards compatibility.
I thought that they moved them over to, at the time, Project Scarlet, as they called it, to work on the compatibility here.
Yeah,
and then the plan was to move them back into doing more backwards compatibility stuff.
I don't know. I mean, it's been quite a long time.
It has been a long
now.
time, though. To be fair,
so I'm pretty sure that team's essentially they're done. If they're doing anything, they're now working on making sure Xbox One games are backwards compatible on Xbox Series X, and working on enhancing those, which they've brought in things like the Auto HDR and those other improvements that they're already working on. That's probably where their focus is. And the thing is, I think I was reading something the other day just about how much work was involved in actually making those games backwards compatible, and thousands and thousands upon hundreds of thousands of hours just to get that entire library working. Which is incredible, and it's an incredible amount of investment that Microsoft put into there for not really a lot of return other than goodwill and maintaining the library and access to the games.
Was it the inverse article that I linked in stuff?
Yeah.
Which I'll post that in chat after the podcast gets released too, because that is a absolutely amazing article on the preservation of games.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Just thinking about it from a purely business point of view, it doesn't make any sense for Microsoft to be doing this. It depends. I guess it depends. It really does garner goodwill. People love that they're doing this. And if there's anything that Microsoft really needed out of the last generation, it was goodwill.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. It doesn't really make sense from a return on investment.
Exactly.
As your average consumer, you'll see backwards compatibility and be like, "That's a cool feature."
Yeah,
and then it drops into the background for the most part.
And that's the thing is that I think the last game that I played on backwards compatibility happened to be Goat Simulator, and that was for GTASC. But I can't remember the tiny time in the last 6 months before that where I've actually used backwards compatibility for anything. Let me tell you, you may well have taken advantage of that for a particular Hall of Fame thing that was going on. But I wonder really just on balance for the cost of the project and everything they had to go through to get it working versus how much it's actually used by people and what that return is on their investment, so to speak, for all of that time. I mean, they're basically just paying for goodwill. They're paying...
Yeah.
They're doing that to look like good people, ultimately. And contrasting that to Sony, I think Microsoft are definitely winning on that front. It's definitely... Microsoft are very pro-consumer in this way. Whether it's actually... if you're thinking about it, people buy consoles and they play the newer games. That's just basically how most people work. I don't know. It's an interesting kind of dynamic there because I'm not really sure.
I'd love to. I doubt we'll ever see it, but it'd be amazing to see what effect this does actually have on sales, especially with the upgraded features of HDR
I think that
onto the older games.
I think that the backwards compatibility piece, in the same way that it essentially was a marketing piece originally, right? Because it was something that Microsoft could do that Sony couldn't. But I
think both platforms said no, we can't do it, and then Microsoft came out at one of the E3s and just did a mic drop moment of
here's
look at
rare
this
replay,
and that's worth its weight in gold, right? But I think that like that was a marketing piece, and that was a feather in the cap and something to push against the competition. But I think that their focus on preservation and the longer tail, and just saying, hey, keeping all this generation thing, I think is more to do with the potential this sort of paradigm shift of moving towards this more Xbox as a service, continuing on to say, oh, you upgrade your Xbox every couple of years, more sort of phone-esque model that they want to change the sort of mindset around in that, you don't Sony says they believe in generations by doing big cutoffs, where Microsoft says, actually, we're on a continuum now. And
it's much more PC focused, because I can still go to my ultra modern PC and I can load up a game from 1998 and it will play.
Exactly.
So yeah, I guess that's Microsoft's kick, isn't it? Microsoft happens to have the operating system that runs on most of those PCs, so it's kind of a natural evolution that they would move towards. Okay, well, it's just one single platform. Some things play it better than others. That's all you need to think about.
Yeah. And again, we worry about the compatibility. You just play it on whatever you want to play it on. Whether that works for them, I'll be interested to see. But it's definitely an interesting strategy.
Well, that's the thing. If you can go onto any device and you can pay a fee and then have access to Xbox games anywhere, then that's amazing. It's like you can go onto any device and you can download Netflix and you pay a subscription and you've got access to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of movies and TVs and shit. It's like but it's because it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And I wonder if that's sort of what Microsoft's tactic is to be ubiquitous, to be everywhere. I'm pretty sure if Microsoft could, they would probably have streaming gaming platform on Sony's hardware. That would be just their ideal.
They had already talked potentially about doing it with Nintendo as well, with the Switch.
And I think they would move. I think that's where they are going, because they were going to move away from individual games. So they've done Ori and Minecraft and something else. I think
Cuphead. I think it was.
Yeah,
Cuphead. Yeah.
So they were going to move away from that and move towards the streaming model instead. I don't know.
Even a few other publishers are taking advantage of that. I believe Control's got a Switch streamable version that's come out just in the last week.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was going to. I think I saw the Switch version of Controller and I thought, how's that going to work? Because controls are really, really.
It's all just it's streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's one game I'm really looking forward to seeing on the Xbox Series X. It's Control.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's get into another question we've got here from one Shadowless Edge.
Hello.
Who's that?
Someone, I don't know. You keep spamming the damn channel. What game would you love to see it get a TV or movie adaptation? I want to see that damn BioShock thing that they've been saying they've been doing for the last 13 years. Ever since the thing came out, they're like, oh, we're going to do like a BioShock, miniseries or whatever.
See, the problem with any gaming adaptation to a movie or TV series, unless it's announced by Netflix, I don't believe it's going to happen.
And look,
Amazon's going to prove me wrong, but
sure. Well, Dragon's Dogma came out and it was trash. So, but Castlevania came out and it was good. So, I think it really
take hit and misses.
Very, very hit and miss. I'll be interested to see what this new Assassin's Creed one will be like.
Yeah, the movie wasn't great at all.
Yeah, and they're doing a Devil May Cry one, which I think is a good fit. It looks like Capcom and is quite interested in this, so who knows? And we got a Monster Hunter movie coming. I don't know how the hell that's.
Yeah, I was a bit dubious about
that'd be
that
interesting.
Oh boy, it looks rough.
I feel like
have they done an X-Men one?
And no, they definitely haven't. There's no 100%.
No, there's no X-Men. No, they don't.
No, not a single one.
Or
the
Marvel. I'm sure Marvel's got a few. Some Marvel games have got. Could be.
Yeah, but
maybe one or two.
The thing is, Marvel hasn't had a game in several years.
Butchering my question. I would love to see an Alan Wake TV series.
Yeah,
I agree, but I think that would kind of also
because look, Quantum Break. I went back and watched the
TV stuff in that is so bad.
I love
it's
it.
Awful.
I love it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh god,
I thought it was. No, I didn't think it was awful.
Well, I like what's his face in it, but
what's his face? That guy.
It's very camp.
That guy, yeah.
The IT guy.
Yes.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, okay, look, like, it's I don't know. It felt like something it felt like a sort of B tier.
Oh, it was definitely B tier. Everybody had Windows phones. It was...
Yeah, like, I think exactly. Like, it felt like a Hawaii Five-0 episode, like the new one where they have to cram a Subway product sponsorship in the middle of it.
It's quite honestly like okay, cool, dude, we're done by take 2. That's fine.
Oh, God.
But I still enjoyed it.
I mean, like, I kind of agree with you on Alan Wake, but I think Alan Wake is so referential to existing the sort of... I mean, hell, their whole, like, Night Springs thing is basically Twilight Zone, right? Like, and it's so much like Stephen King stuff, and I don't know if that would work in a medium where you don't have...
I think it would absolutely work 100%. I reckon you could take Alan Wake and you can make it into a limited series.
Yeah,
just
Just
a 10
seven
episode,
yeah.
wrap the entire thing up, leave it on a real hanging point that Alan Wake left it on as well in the game.
Yep.
You could then branch off into a second season maybe to try and answer some of that stuff, or just wait for, Alan Wake 2, which has been hinted at extremely heavily in Control. I think Alan Wake could work. I reckon Control itself might be a good
Control
one.
would be really good, actually, yeah.
I feel like anything Remedy does would probably...
Yeah, they build really good worlds, like really amazing worlds. Even Quantum Break, the world in that was... it's an underrated game, I think, but the world building in that was still
great.
I agree. It's not their strongest game, but yeah, it was a great world. I had a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. And I even enjoyed those, the TV bits as well, because it just kind of added to the story for me. I didn't enjoy having to play them twice.
Yeah, there is that.
Going back, you previously mentioned in your top 3 Alien Isolation.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely need a movie for that.
A new one, yeah, because... Oh, God. I'm pretty sure they made 2 Alien movies and that was it.
In all seriousness, though...
There are only 2 Alien movies.
Yeah. Layers of Fear? Or... like alongside those kind of like horror-based games.
See, like horror, I can't see horror adaptations for movies, for like games into movies, because I feel like that, like
except perhaps Alien itself, Alien Isolation.
Exactly.
Is Resident Evil still the best? I guess the most profitable.
Yeah.
Video game
franchise, video game to movie adaptation franchise. Yep, absolutely. That made gangbusters, and it's basically the worst piece of crap.
I was going to say they weren't great.
They
were very much.
I don't understand
popcorn movies.
The first one was passable. Everything after that was, oh boy.
So they're just like the games, yeah.
And then they also just pooped all over the canon of the games from what I got.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, they're like, it's fine.
Yeah, nobody will care. Layers of Fear I think wouldn't work because it really required first-person atmosphere tension to be the game it is. If you then tried to take it out of the third person and involve the thing is that entire game is like one character. You're it.
Yeah, true.
So making a movie out of that would be. I mean, you could potentially
film maybe
do it, but it'd be almost it could be over in an hour or 2 hours really, and it'd just be one person wandering through a series of rooms and getting scared. It's just
it sounds more like a haunted house than anything else, really.
Oh, I'm trying to think of there was a movie that I watched. I don't want to say recently, but it was just basically like one character the entire movie, and it was still phenomenal.
Moon?
Like I still
Phone Booth.
I can't think of what it was. Anyway, moving along. Metro series as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they're already books, so it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Books are
Witcher?
actually pretty
Has
good.
anybody done anything with Witcher?
I'm pretty sure
okay.
that's probably a good one. I mean,
Cyberpunk.
I would say
that's got it.
Well, Cyberpunk's already getting a TV adaptation, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
Already
me.
booked something on Netflix.
They should do a Deus Ex series, actually. I would actually be super down with that, with all the weird Illuminati stuff and triangles everywhere.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, they could probably do it out of the piss filter, but
South Park being done?
South Park, I mean, that's always being done.
Yeah.
You guys remember?
Duke Nukem never got a movie.
No. I mean, if
that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Long run time on that one. All right, and then our next question is also from Shadowless Edge.
Yeah.
If there's a game you could go back and re-experience for the first time, what would it be?
Batman Arkham Asylum, duh.
Yeah, great game. I totally could see that. That's a fantastic game.
Once again, this came from Quantum Break. Me watching all the episodes.
More recently, I would love to just experience Control again from a fresh virgin mindset because I've just loved every minute of that game going through. Apart from a couple of the fight scenes, but
I would probably say Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1.
The original Black Ops, yeah, it's a great game. Although I would probably say if I was going to pick a Call of Duty, it would be Modern Warfare. Even if it's just for ghillies, for all ghillied up. That's so good. But no, the correct answer is Shadow of the Colossus.
it's a game I never played because PlayStation.
Yeah. So I mean, this was back in the day when I was on the PlayStation 2. Both of Ueda's Eco and Shadow of the Colossus are some of my favorite games of all time. Eco is a beautiful experience that really should be played. It's still a bit ropey, but it has a real beautiful narrative to it.
Here's an interesting twist on this. How about games that you have played to death, but you know that if you played them now, they wouldn't stack up with game mechanics. But if you could go back in time to when those game mechanics were like modern, and re-experience those games, is there any games you do that with? Because I mean, the first one for me would be like Final Fantasy X. Playing that through the first time, spending so many hours on that, grinding through and getting all the little secret things, and looking up guides on things before there was anything.
Just the intro for that game too. Just Ramstein. Is it Ram? I'm probably
Rammstein.
Rammstein. Yes.
Just got to get the roll. Rammstein.
Just Otherworld, like starting that game off. That song is absolute banger.
Yeah, they actually like.
Oh, it was amazing.
You know what? I don't even agree, Tarragon. I think you can still go back to that game and absolutely love the hell out of it.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful game.
Before Final Fantasy X, I really liked Final Fantasy VIII as well. Playing the remaster of that, it really showed. It's the game mechanics were just not there. I find it with Final Fantasy VII too, which I never really got into at the time. And going back to it is like, this has got all that clunky sort of stuff that I just don't want to go back to anymore. I don't know.
In the same,
I want to check out the Final Fantasy X remakes though. Never got around to it.
Once it comes to Game Pass, I'm going to probably jump back on.
In the same realm, Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yep, that was actually when you mentioned 10. I was thinking about Kingdom Hearts as well. Although, like I said, I went back and did it, and it's actually still really good.
See, I went back. I played a hell of a lot when I first came out, and I think I got 80 to 90% through the story, and I got to a point and just stopped for some reason and never got around to finishing it. And I went back to try it again with the newer versions that had come out, and I found it frustrating as hell. I think the camera in particular just absolutely
that is the
me.
one,
And that was 100%. Sort of the thing when it came out. You still dealt with frustrating camera controls because that's all you had, and you were going to. But nowadays, there's no.
I found myself after getting all the upgrades in 2, just struggling to go back to the start of any.
Yeah. I mean, again, they add a lot of traversal stuff that makes the game a lot more fun to play. I played through 1 and then straight. I rinsed 1. I did all the achievements in it, and then went straight to 2 and did all the achievements for that. And then trying to go back and do Chain of Memories is like, oh boy.
Told you should have done Chain of Memories first.
I know. It's rough. And then Birth by Sleep. Birth by Sleep I kind of enjoy, but the problem is that you have to play through it 3 different times. And, when you start the new character, you lose all your levels and all the stuff you've worked on. It just kind of feels pointless, which is why I haven't finished it. But one day. But yeah, I think a lot of those JRPGs and stuff... But yeah, I still think Shadow of the Colossus because it's that beauty of wandering around that world, and finding a giant lumbering beast that is essentially a huge puzzle that is trying to kill you, and just trying to figure it out, and you get little minor hints around. Okay, I this was a game I got for Christmas. No, sorry, it was my birthday years ago. When it first came out, like I was so excited for it. I mean, it ran like crap on the PlayStation because it was way too ambitious. But just that sense of finally figuring out, like, you know, so I'll give you a minor spoiler for one of the fights. There's like a giant sand snake that essentially flies up above you, and it's one of the few colossi that don't attack you at all. It just kind of flies around. You're like, okay, well, it's flying. I'm on a horse. Like, there's not really a lot I can do here. So you sort of look at it like, okay, well, my sword's not going to, so I'm going to have to use the bow. And you notice that underneath they have these weird sort of like white, it's like unarmored skin underneath it. So, okay, so you shoot it with a bow and blood comes out of a little bit. But nothing seems to happen until you shoot enough of them that it slowly glides down a bit until it hits the top of the sand, and it's like you could basically ride next to it. And one of its wings will dip into the sand just a little bit, and you have to leap like you're in like a train chase in a west, and you have to leap across and grab onto it. And of course, as soon as you grab onto it, it just starts flying back into the air. And so you're trying to claw your way up this giant flying snake dragon while it's doing spins and trying to buffer you off, and it's just like, and eventually you just get to the top of it and you just stab it in the head. And like the thing is, like the game is incredible in terms of like the gameplay and the sort of very muted narrative. Like there's not a lot of talking in the game. The plot, like a lot of it, you need to work out like, from context. But also like you're killing these beautiful creatures that have done nothing wrong. And it's just like,
yeah, wasn't that was sort of the twist, wasn't it? It's like, well, actually, you're the bad guy.
Yeah, you're basically like you know, you killed the first couple. Like, you know, there's a kind of a lumbering guy who tries to hit you with a club, and you're like, okay, whatever, kill him. But like a lot of these are just like beautiful, interesting creatures who are like part stone, but also like part like grass, but also living, but not quite alive, but they bleed, and it's like it's so interesting. And you just start killing it, and you just feel terrible because you're like, wow, like I'm actually just like going around murdering these, you know, these creatures. And then it just turns out that you're just a horrific person. But anyway, I've waxed way poetic about it because it was something just near and dear to me when I was growing up, because it was one of those games that I got to play at a time when, which was quite formative in terms of what I thought video games could be. When they weren't just, you know, JRPGs, and they weren't just, you know, shooty bang bang games or hack and slashes. You know, there were things that could have narrative and emotional impact in a way that I didn't realize games could do at the time.
Yeah, so there's no JRPG has ever had any kind of emotional impact at all. Like,
I mean, look, you know,
Final Fantasy VII's not doesn't resonate with people for any particular.
I mean,
emotional
it does for
reason.
some people,
Yeah.
but it's like, well, to be fair, the JRPGs I was playing was like, I think I played like Legend of Legaia, which I don't think anyone's going to remember. And like it was usually just because like you know, like it was on the original PlayStation, so it was just kind of like trash stuff. I played Legend of Dragoon and stuff, and like gameplay wise, it was all great and fun stuff, but I didn't really connect with the narratives because partly it was massively immature.
I was just trying to think back of the early RPG games I played were like Pool of Radiance.
Okay.
On the Commodore 64 at the time, or I think it was Wizardry. I think was another
Wizardry, yeah, one of the originals.
Yeah, on PC, but yeah,
You play the old Breath of Fires and stuff like that. I mean, like to be fair, my first console was the PlayStation 1, so just to give you a perspective.
my
on
first
kind of, you know,
quote console unquote was the Commodore 64. So
right, yeah. But anyway,
I'll go over here.
Massive tangent, but yeah, I think that would, yeah, I'd love to go. There are a lot of games I'd like to go back and play for the first time, but I think that that sort of PlayStation 2 era when I was really learning about what video games could be, was just a really important part of my life that I really, you know, would love to get back to. But now I'm just cynical and jaded.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I still remember Dad first bringing home a Nintendo 64 and then getting GoldenEye and then raging at me for beating him.
Odd job, man. Odd job's cheating.
I still actually Mario 64 probably one of the best games ever made. Because I would still happily right now pull out this. I'd actually have one. I have a Nintendo 64. I would happily put it in, plug in Mario 64 and just play through and get all 120 stars again. It's just
why they made that trilogy though. Like the trilogy of your games is such a good collection. I loved Sunshine.
I never actually played any of the others. I played Mario Galaxy, I think, on the Wii.
Okay.
And got through most of that. Didn't go through and try and get Luigi mode, which was a whole.
Oh, yeah, that was a bit much.
Yeah, that was just but yeah, Mario 64 is an awesome game, and I would happily go and play that through for the first time again as well. But I think just going back in history, just because of the way game mechanics have worked and game controls have worked, I think going back to a lot of those games now, I would get really frustrated with very quickly.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, so, and it's funny just going back to these remasters of games, you just realise, hey, yeah, wow, this has actually changed. I liked the original Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2, but wow, tank controls, man.
Yeah, so same with the original Resident Evils, just tank controls were rough.
Yeah, and like, you sort of forget that, okay, well, back in those days, you did not have an analog stick. Everything was D-pad, so... And it wasn't even sort of a pseudo 3D D-pad. It was literally forward, back, turn to the right, turn to the left. And that was your gameplay for a lot of this stuff. And I think that was limited by hardware as much as anything else. Like just actual performance. So there's not a lot of games I think I would go back to that aren't more recent ones that I've experienced a lot. So, I mean, Arkham Asylum is now, what, a 10-year-old game?
More.
Might be more. And the mechanics in that are still great. And it's I don't know, it's just kind of this little curve of, of mechanics where they've kind of been refined, and then they've hit sort of an edge point where, okay, anything past this point you're going to be reasonably comfortable with, and anything before that point you're going to struggle with, and it will just show its edges. Anyway.
And I imagine that's got a lot to do with the games becoming more mainstream and needing to become more accessible. I think necessity is the mother of invention, right? And
I think also controllers. It's just standardizing controllers. When you had the first sort of twin stick controller, that was kind of like a breach point for a lot of games. Independent control, like camera control from movement, without it being the stupid controls on the Mario 64, for example, where you had the yellow D-pad sort of thing to try and angle it. That was kind of a major stepping point, I think, for games. Anything after that was better for it. Anyway, I'm verbosing.
All right. Well, no, I think we've smashed that into the ground. It's good. Some great stuff there. I'm feeling very nostalgic now. Need to go back and play Tomba. Milestones. We'll just quickly flick through these. So, milestones earned, we've got Achievements 1. Nate Dogg Sniper has reached 6,000. Lord Chabello 13 has reached 16,000. McLovin Legend 1 has reached 23,000. And Mad Eye Pad Eye has reached 32,000 Achievements 1.
He hasn't got many games on his tag or anything.
No, that's fine. He's scrounging,
Yeah.
Gamerscore, we've got Reset 42 has reached 200,000. Ghostly Shinobi has reached 450,000. And Mad Eye Pad Eye again has reached 850,000.
Yeah, it's not a million.
No, exactly. No, it's miles off. TA Score, Hat 90 has reached 300,000. Carpe Adam. That's Carpe Diem. That's good. That's a good pun. I like that. 79 has reached 300,000. Dark Lord Davis has reached 400,000. And Valak C has reached 900,000 TA Score. Keep playing this baby game, buddy.
Nobody cares about TA anyway.
No, it's true. It's all just made up. Games played. What the Fug has reached 750 games played, but that's not a real milestone. Completed games. Thrash
We're really
Forever
celebrating this stuff, aren't we?
I mean, look, I'm 100%.
Yep.
And then Thrash Forever has completed a real milestone of 1,500 games, which is very impressive.
So what's his gamer score on? I mean,
he's pretty.
Just taking it on
high.
flat figures, if you took that as 1,500 completed games at 1,000 G, that's 1.5 million gamer score. I would imagine some of those are XBLA titles with less score,
a little bit less.
But still, it's impressive.
Yeah, he's sitting at 1.4 million And so he's just behind me, which is a little bit terrifying. He keeps catching up every week. He's in these damn milestones. Completion percentage. Dark Lord Davis again has reached a completion percentage of 35%. Congratulations, buddy. Streaks. What the Fug is on a 500-day achievement win streak, and Enigma Gamer 77 is on a 5,000 achievement win streak.
That's a bit better.
Nice.
That's not bad at all. Leaderboards. Wakapale is now number 1 in the Sweden Gamerscore leaderboard.
That is
Congratulations, buddy.
That's pretty sweet.
You deserve it.
Milestone.
Yeah. What the Fog is now in the top 500 of Gamerscore for point and click, because they just keep bringing up trashy point and click games. And Hat 90 is in the top 500 for True Achievement leaderboard for cricket. I don't even know how that's possible.
Are there in the top 500, there are only 10 cricket games.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, really? If you play half of them, you probably got a good shot. And I think that's pretty much it. And that basically brings us to the end of the show. So if you want to get in contact with us, you can email us at hello@realgamerscore.com. Send us questions, comments, anything like that. Otherwise, you can get in contact with Cameron on our Twitter account @realgamerscore.
Hello.
Get some good memes going, and throw some shade at our community members. Yeah, thanks for that.
Hey,
Wait, which ones? What did I do?
I resemble that remark.
I can't. I'm trying to think what I did now.
Don't worry about it. Discord.io/Gamerscore if you want to come chat with us. Join our competitions, have a bit of a yarn, give us some memes, and then patreon.com/RealGamerscore if you want to give us some cash, so we can keep running the competitions and eventually, buy a trip to PAX when they finally reopen it. And yeah, you can write in questions. You guys understand how this works. You've probably listened to a podcast before.
If you're interested in being on the show,
I'm not letting anyone on the show. Yeah, I guess if you want to be on the show, send us a message. We'll slot you in.
Can I be on the show?
Yeah. Well, now that you've asked, I'm reconsidering, but I guess it's too late now. No.
Kirby's going to be out for at least a month. So
yeah, Kirby's going to be out. We'll take whoever. Tarragon is a very busy man, and I just don't like you people, so I just might just stop showing up at some stage, So you just be left with Cameron, which I don't think would be much of a show. But no,
I mean, it would be a show for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Actually, it'll just be like late night radio. I'd love it. Just someone talking to the void. But if you want to be on the show, do send us a message. We're looking to get some guests on to help fill some of our slots while a lot of us are busy and sort of have to duck out every now and then. If you want to help the podcast in other ways, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and other podcast platforms. We're pretty much everywhere we know. Anywhere you can get a podcast, you can probably find us. Leave us a review. Tell us that you've left a review because our review aggregator doesn't work. Tell your friends. Retweet all of our tweets. Talk about it in your other Discords. Talk about it in boosting sessions. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us some money on Patreon. You guys know how this works. It's all about word of mouth and just getting people addicted to basically Song of the Week in the competitions, and then they just sort of stay for the rest of it. All right, individual contacts. So if you want to get in contact with me, you can find me on Neomaster on everything. But if you message me before I get my confirmation from Microsoft about winning the Hall of Fame, I will flame the hell out of you, okay? Because I got a message today, and I went and checked. I was like, I finally got home from my trip, and I saw I had one message sitting there, and I was like, oh, finally, it's time. It's time. Nah. It was just being like, hey, can you help me boost this game?
Yeah, just a second. I need to do something on my phone.
Yeah.
Are you feeling the exact same way I'm feeling? Because I've just been sitting by, just waiting for any notification.
I have chewed my fingernails to bits. Okay, I need to know. I need to know one way they are. At this point, I don't even care. I just need to know.
I don't care if I win it or not. I just want to know. I just want some confirmation. I want this nightmare to be over.
Just give me the damn hoodie. All right. But yeah, otherwise, Neomaster on everything. You guys know how to get in contact with me. I do, jokes aside, I do really like hanging out and playing games with you guys and chatting with you. But the best way to get a hold of me is on the Discord. So check me out there.
Unless you have terrible looking, it's like Mike.
Well, no, so far I'll still entertain your opinions, but I will roast you mercilessly for them on every occasion.
All right, cool. If you want to get in contact with me, Shadowless Space Edge on basically anything, or you can join the Xbox Achievement community on Facebook. Yeah, pretty much it. I'm the exact same as Matt. I'm just waiting for the Hall of Fame. I swear, if we don't find out tomorrow, tables going to be flipped. People are going to be flamed. Like, it's just...
Yeah,
it's not going to be a good time.
they think the election is controversial.
This is the sole reason I didn't try and go for the Game Pass Hall of Fame, because I just thought, that's a whole lot of effort, and a whole lot more effort on top of that, and then I might not even get it, and I'll be, like, waiting and waiting and waiting to see whether all this effort was actually worth it, and then...
my whole life at the moment
when it got down,
waiting for anything.
When it got down to me building spreadsheets and doing comparisons between my game collection on TA versus another spreadsheet and then matching them off, that's where I kind of drew the line. It's like, yeah, okay.
I mean, you say that, but mate, I know you love a spreadsheet. Don't lie to us.
Oh, yeah,
Tarragon,
I do, but
Tarragon.
it's just...
I love everything you did for me during that conversation. Thank you.
All right. And where can we find you, Tarragon?
Discord's probably the best place to talk to me. I'm on the Reels Gamerscore Discord server, obviously, and a few others. zzUrbanSpaceman, or one word, that is my gamer tag. You can also find me on True Achievements. I post a few things around there sometimes. Yeah, that's basically me.
All right, and Cameron is Shadowless Space Edge on everything.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'll just do it for him, because he's...
I said it before.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, fine.
Space Edge?
Space Edge, yes.
Your Neomaster?
Mustache. All right, cool. I'm ending the show there. Cool.
Shadowless Spaceman Edge.
I swear, I swear, I come home from a work trip and the first thing I hear is, "Hey, mate, you want to do a podcast?" I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? So
look. I had Brad and I had Tarragon, and then Brad's just like, "Oh, but family stuff." And I'm like, It's okay. I understand.
So I come in and I sit down and Allison's like, "Oh, hey, how was your trip?" I was like, "Oh, it's really good." And then I just put the headphones on and, and she just looks at me. She's like, and I was like, "Got to do the podcast." I didn't get a chance to while I was away. And she just gives this look and I was like, "Okay." So,
but it's okay. She got to show off a ring.
She did get to show off a ring.
Think if she didn't have the podcast, if we didn't have the podcast tonight, she wouldn't have been able to show off the ring.
This is true. I will... that's going to be the background picture, by the way. I didn't do one for this week because I didn't have time, but it's probably just going to be a picture of that damn ring because that's all I've been hearing about.
So does she like the ring?
Well, I mean, she designed it, so she better bloody like it.
It's a great movie, but
well, okay, so just on a tangent before we finally wrap this thing up, when I went down to the Wellington office... the first thing Allison wasn't like, "Oh, hey, how was your flight? How you doing?" It was, "Hey, have you told everyone about the ring yet? Have you shown them all so they can look at it?" And so I talked to one of my mates that I work with, and I told him about it, and he's like, and I was like, "I don't think everyone needs to see the ring." And he's like, "Yeah, probably not. Just tell her that everyone loves it." I'm like, "Cool. Yeah, everyone thinks it's great. It's fine. She won't listen to this."
It's not like she's in the same building as you or anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, cool. Okay, now, so, I gotta go before I get murdered. So, it's midnight. I will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.